Chapter 837. Round 11, Universal Development Sex Liang Qiuqi falls, Rainbow Fall Sword Sex Yu Yayun wins. This battle was intense and lasted for a long time. Therefore, the announcer quickly announced the result. Liang Qiuqi was strong, but he wasn't the strongest under the heaven-seated realm. Now that Liang Qiuqi and Yu Yayun had fought, even though Yu Yayun had defeated Liang Qiuqi, she was also battered and exhausted. Not only was his breathing chaotic, he even spat out a mouthful of blood. Some of the cultivators who were in no way weaker than Liang Qiuqi were eager to give it a try. The battle between Yu Yayun and Liang Qiuqi proved that Yu Yayun was only at this level. Not to mention, Yu Yayun had already exhausted herself greatly. If he could kill Yu Yayun in one fell swoop, his name would definitely spread throughout the entire sifting forest star. In just a dozen breaths of time, someone flew onto the dueling platform. There were even a few people in the audience who were eager to give it a try. From her performance on the dueling platform, everyone could tell that Yu Yayun was indeed exhausted. The battle this time also lasted for a long time, and the process was intense and dangerous. At the last moment, Yu Yayun barely managed to defeat her opponent. The 12th round, Green Feather Spirit Religion's Kong Ku falls, Rainbow Fall Sword Sex Yu Yayun wins. The 13th round, Green Feather Spirit Religion's Gon Zhuyu falls, Rainbow Fall Sword Sex Yu Yayun wins. In the 14th round, Scarlet Cloud Faction's In Ziqin fell, Rainbow Fall Sword Sex Yu Yayun wins. The 19th round, Constellation Sex Kong Shana falls, Rainbow Fall Sword Sex Yu Yayun wins. When the participating cultivators sang to the 19th round, and no one went on stage for a while, everyone suddenly woke up. Yu Yayun had already won 11 matches in a row, and all her opponents had fallen on the dueling platform. Moreover, apart from the first 2 matches, the rest of the matches were extremely difficult to fight. Yu Yayun seemed like she could be killed at any time, but in fact, Yu Yayun was able to persist until the end and kill her opponent. The cultivators who came to their senses no longer went up to court death. Most of them thought that Yu Yayun was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. She purposely showed weakness to the enemy and then went on a killing spree. She was clearly an arrow at the end of its flight, yet after going up to fight he was still courting death. Wasn't this showing weakness to his opponent? Universal Development Sex Bao Xian slammed the table in front of him and suddenly stood up with an angry voice. Xian Chanshu, isn't your Rainbow Fall Sword sect too shameless? To actually lend your sect's Starry Sky Grade 7 Underworld Crow Ghost Rot 10 King to a disciple and let that disciple kill the core disciples of the other sects on the dueling platform. Do you think that the other 6 sects are blind? Xian Chanshu, who knew that Bao Xian was looking for an excuse, could only suppress his anger and say to Yu Yang, come down. The next match will not be a match between my Rainbow Fall Sword sect, but rather a match between the other academies. Yu Yayun had killed 11 core disciples in a row, and the killing intent in her heart had long since been worn down. Now that the sect master had asked her to go down, she naturally wouldn't stay up there. However, even if she wanted to go down now, it was impossible. Yu Yayun had killed 11 core disciples of the other sects, and they were all outstanding disciples. If they let Yu Yayun die just like that, how could the 6 sects swallow this anger? If the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was powerful, then it would not have mattered. However, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was such a weak faction, yet they actually dared to kill the core disciples of other factions on the dueling platform. Go down? Don't even dream about it. If your Rainbow Fall Sword sect doesn't explain the matter of cheating today, my Universal Development sect will never let it go. Bao Xian spoke up with a stern voice. Bao Xian's words immediately got the support of the other sections. Even the few eternal cultivators no longer spoke. Apparently, they wanted to force Rainbow Fall Sword sect to take the initiative to admit cheating and then punish Yu Yayun. Rainbow Fall Sword sect was a sword cultivation sect, and a sword cultivation sect naturally needed sword bones and sword aura. Xian Chanshu had been bullied for a long time. Moreover, someone still pointed at his nose and bullied him. He couldn't bear it anymore. Xian Chanshu, who couldn't stand it anymore, also slapped the table and stood up. Bao Xian, you keep saying that my Rainbow Fall Sword sect cheated. But why didn't I hear any objections from you when the other sects killed my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples? What's wrong with my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciple, Yin, having a pet? Don't you allow cultivators to have their own pet? Bao Xian gave a cold snort. If we all lend our sect's pet beast to our disciples, what kind of fight is this? Xian Chanshu suppressed his anger and spoke up coldly. Yuyun is my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciple. I swear in the name of Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master that I have never handed over any pet beast to Yuyun. If you insist on lending your sect's pet beasts to your disciples on the duel stage, Xian Chanshu will never say a word of nonsense. Disciples fighting on the stage, life and death are determined by fate. If you can't beat them, then come and find excuses. This isn't something my Rainbow Fall Sword sect would do. Bao Xian was at a loss for words. If their sect had a Starry Sky Grade 7 demonic pet, they would have taken it out a long time ago. Unfortunately, they didn't have one. Was a Starry Sky Grade 7 demonic pet that easy to cultivate? Not to mention top-grade pet beasts, they didn't even have an ordinary pet beast. Okay. An old voice arrived, and then an old man in gray robes landed on the main stage. When Xian Chanshu saw this old man, he quickly bowed. Disciple Xian Chanshu greets Elder Supreme Yu. This old man was Rainbow Fall Sword sect's most powerful Supreme Elder Yu Bo. If it weren't for Rainbow Fall Sword sect being forced into a corner, he wouldn't have come out of seclusion. Unfortunately, even if he came out of seclusion, it wouldn't help. A life and death cultivator, even at the full circle of the life and death realm, couldn't do anything against several eternal cultivators here. Yu Bo, you haven't made any progress after so many years of seclusion. Your Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciple cheated with a grade 7 Starry Sky pet beast, yet you still say it's okay. Are you trying to bully my Universal Development sect? A man in brocaded robes stood up and stared at the old man with a cold expression. Under the suppression of his powerful aura, Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Supreme Elder Yu Bo couldn't even say a word. If one's cultivation couldn't match up to others, then no matter how much backbone one had, it would be useless. This brocaded robed man was Universal Development sect's sect master Lian Yen, an early-stage eternal cultivator. He was the one who looked for the array patterns, and he was also Liang Qiuqi's master. After suppressing Yu Bo with his imposing aura, Lian Yen said to Bao Xian on the side, "Go catch the cheating disciple and confiscate his things. Strip him naked and hang him on the edge of the dueling platform as a warning." After Lian Yen said those words, the other eternal cultivators regretted not taking action earlier. That was the Starry Sky Grade 7 Underworld Crow Ghost Rotan King. How powerful would it be if they could get their hands on it? Xian Chanshu and Yu Bo's expressions changed drastically. Once Yu Yayun was stripped naked and hung up, it would also mean that Rainbow Fall Sword sect would also be stripped naked and would no longer have a foothold in the Sifting Forest Star. The two immediately wanted to stop it. But although their cultivations weren't bad, it still wasn't enough in front of an eternal cultivator. Bao Xian had been waiting for these words. He had wanted to take action for a long time, but the sect master didn't say anything. Now that the sect master spoke up, he stepped out of the void and raised his hand to grab Yu Yayun on the dueling platform. He then spoke up in anger. "The dueling platform is a fair and just place for people, yet you cheated with your sect's guardian pet beast. I won't forgive you. Since this is a duel, I will preside over justice." A powerful imposing aura shrouded over Yu Yayun, an undead cultivator, couldn't even breathe under the suppression of such a powerful domain's imposing aura. Even the underworld Crow Ghost Rotan King couldn't break through the suppression of this domain's imposing aura. Yu Yayun subconsciously wanted to look at Ning Cheng, but she couldn't even turn her neck, let alone stretch out her spiritual consciousness. Just when Bao Xian's hand was about to grab Yu Yun, his body suddenly stiffened. An even more terrifying pressure fell on him, and the domain around him tore apart like a rag in an instant. At this moment, his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence couldn't move at all. The only thing that could move was his consciousness. Sensing the threat of death, Bao Xian's eyes filled with horror. He wanted to scream, but he couldn't. Yu Yayun felt her body lighten, and then she saw a huge celestial essence handprint slowly stretch over. This handprint directly grabbed Bao Xian's neck and lifted him up. It was the senior apprentice brother who lent her the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. Yu Yayun instantly understood, and her eyes lit up with excitement. She knew about Bao Xian, a famous elder of Universal Development Sect and a middle-stage life and death powerhouse. Yet, an invisible celestial essence handprint grabbed the neck of such a powerhouse. How powerful was this senior apprentice brother from Graceful Star Mainland? She even tried to persuade this senior apprentice brother to run away. Did he really want to escape with such strength? Sure enough, the disciples from the Yixing mainland were all extremely powerful. Junior apprentice brother Ray Baishan, whom the sect master brought back a few years ago, was also quite tyrannical. But now, this senior apprentice brother was even more powerful. No wonder the ancestral master could create the Rainbow Falls Sword sect. The ancestral master also came from Graceful Star Mainland. The huge celestial essence handprint grabbed Bao Xian's neck and lifted him up. He couldn't resist and looked like a frog in the void, struggling powerlessly with his hands and feet. This terrifying scene immediately shocked everyone on the Sword Stone public square and the main platform. All the elders and sect masters on the main platform stood up one after another. Even the domain suppression that bound Xian Chanshu and Yu Bo loosened at this moment. Ning Cheng stepped onto the dueling platform and looked at Bao Xian in the air before speaking with a cold voice. Did you just say that you want to be fair and just? You, a cultivator in the life and death realm, want to deal with a cultivator in the undead realm? Is that fair and just? Do you have any shame or no shame? Who said that disciples can't use companion beasts, talismans, or use their own killing methods in the duels? If you don't have the guts, then don't come here to make a fool of yourself. Trash. The celestial essence handprint in the void exerted force, and Bao Xian's entire body turned into a blood mist before disappearing without a trace. Only a ring fell in front of Yu Yayun, and Yu Yayun heard Ning Cheng's voice. This ring is for you to calm down. Yu Yayun bowed in surprise and said, Many thanks, senior apprentice brother. She quickly reached out and put away the ring. How many good things did a life and death powerhouse's ring contain? Seeing Yu Yayun put away the ring of a life and death cultivator, many cultivators on the sword stone showed envious looks. This Dao friend, this is an internal matter of our 7 sections. Yet, this Dao friend intervened in the internal affairs of our 7 sects and even killed a life and death elder of my Universal Development Sect. Isn't it a bit too unreasonable? The Universal Development Sect's sect master stood up with an ugly expression. He could see that Ning Cheng was also an eternal powerhouse, and Ning Cheng was even stronger than him. Ning Cheng stared at the Universal Development Sect's sect master coldly and asked, Didn't you just say that you wanted to strip Yu Yayun and hang her up? Chapter 8:38. At this moment, a cyan shadow fell from the sky at the fastest speed. So what if it's me? This emperor is Lian Yen, the sect master of Universal Development Sect. Lian Yen gave a cold snort. Even if he was only at the early stage eternal realm, he was still an eternal expert. No matter how strong Ning Cheng was, he was only in the eternal realm. We're both in the eternal realm, so what right do you have to talk to me like this? Besides, Ning Cheng had killed Bao Xian with a sneak attack the moment he arrived, which meant that he had already formed an enmity with Universal Development Sect. As the sect master of Universal Development Sect, how could he show weakness in front of Ning Cheng? Xian Chanshu didn't have the demeanor of a heaven-seated expert. After he finished speaking, he spat out a mouthful of saliva. When Lian Yan's weapon turned into a ray of Dao Charm, Ning Cheng's traceless spear pattern tore apart his weapon's ray of Dao Charm. An eternal cultivator's self-detonation only caused this much commotion because Ning Cheng had already sealed 90% of his celestial essence. With Chu Xuxing taking the lead, the other sects took the opportunity to play their own roles. Lan Yi used to call Ning Cheng Brother Ning before, but she didn't dare to call him that now. Not to mention that Ning Cheng was an expert on the same level as Old Man Kong He. Qingmin Mountain's rudeness in coming to Rainbow Falls Sword sect to cause trouble made Lan Yi tremble in fear. Lan Yi spoke up in horror, Senior has shown graciousness to Lan Yi, yet my Qing Min Mountain coveted Rainbow Falls Sword Sect's mystic realm without asking about right or wrong. Please punish me, Senior. On behalf of Qing Min Mountain, this junior will comply. Xian Chanshu sneered from the side. Are you trying to be reasonable at this time? When your six sects wanted to seize my Rainbow Fall Mystic Realm and Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, why didn't anyone talk reason with you? But Lian Yen felt so ashamed that he wanted to die. He was an eternal expert, yet he suffered such humiliation. As for insulting Yu Yayun before, he naturally didn't think there was anything wrong with it. In his eyes, Yayun was just an undead cultivator. Even if she was stripped naked and hung up, it was still a warning. But he was an eternal realm expert. He quickly came to Ning Cheng and bowed to the ground. Many thanks for upholding justice, Senior. Otherwise, my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect would have been occupied by a group of shameless people. Xian Chanshu and Yu Bo felt ecstatic. They didn't expect that this powerhouse was from Rainbow Fall Sword Sect or even from Graceful Star Mainland's main sect. With such a powerhouse keeping watch, not to mention the Sifting Forest Star, even within the entire starry skies, no one would dare to touch the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Frightened by Ning Cheng, Chu Su Sheng broke out in a cold sweat, unable to even speak a single word. When Lian Yen saw Ning Cheng appear and easily kill Bao Xian, he began to be wary of Ning Cheng. His domain had already completely protected himself. Lian Yen did not have the time to escape when Ning Cheng's spear pattern locked him in place. The next moment he, just like Bao Xian, was picked up by Ning Cheng. As she spoke, Guang Ruodong sent out a message. She and Lan Yi were familiar with each other and had long known about Ning Cheng's existence. Therefore, after learning Ning Cheng's name, he immediately sent a message to Lan Yi. Sure enough, she advanced to the Eternal Realm. Ning Cheng nodded. He guessed that Lan Yi didn't know about it. With Lan Yi's urgency, she must have gone into seclusion to advance to the Eternal Realm, and then went into seclusion to stabilize her cultivation. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, Chu Su Sheng's face turned pale. He worried that Ning Cheng would pick him up and throw him into the array flag in the next moment, leaving him to self-destruct. If they still had an excuse to make Ning Cheng speechless before, then they no longer had any excuse now. Ning Cheng had already killed them, so he didn't have to worry about using his power to oppress them. Senior, this junior is Guang Ruatong from the Blue Lake Mountain. Sect Master Chu's meaning is that this is an internal matter of the Sifting Forest Star. Even if Senior's cultivation reaches the heavens, I'm afraid it would be inappropriate for you to intervene in this matter. An early-stage life and death female cultivator came forward and spoke in a tone that was neither arrogant nor humble. Not waiting for Chu Su Sheng to say that he met Xiao Jierwei at a party, Ning Cheng followed up. When I went to the Devil Domain last time, I taught him a lesson and even cut off one of his arms. Do you want to help him? Lan Yi, as a new eternal powerhouse from the Blue Lake Mountain, had also held a ceremony to advance to the Eternal Realm. The other sect elders, on hearing Lan Yi address Ning Cheng as senior, felt even more flustered. When Ning Cheng's words came out, all the cultivators present froze. Was this powerhouse from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect? If this person was from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, it would be natural for him to intervene in this matter. Chu Su Sheng was the first to react. He immediately raised his hand and slapped the face of a heaven-seated elder next to him. Idiot, you actually listened to Universal Development Sect's words. You dare to offend a friendly sect without figuring things out. Everyone could hear that Chu Su Sheng's last sentence was a show of weakness. Therefore, no one spoke up at this time. Chu Su Sheng's words were the only reason they could find. That is, if you are unreasonable, we can't do anything about it. If you are reasonable, even if you are Xiao Jierwei, you can't intervene in this matter. Lian Yen didn't fear Ning Cheng because he only thought that Ning Cheng was slightly stronger than him. But he didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this powerful. In a panic, he quickly brought out his weapon. Yi Jiufeng and Xiao Jierwei don't dare to proclaim themselves as emperors in front of me. Yet, you, an early-stage eternal cultivator, dare to proclaim yourself as an emperor in front of me? As Ning Cheng spoke, he raised his hand and threw Lian Yen onto the dueling platform. Following that, dozens of array flags flew over, sealing Lian Yan's celestial essence and tearing off his clothes. Ning Cheng then imprisoned him on the dueling platform. Finally, a pointy-faced, short-haired male cultivator stepped forward and cupped his hands towards Ning Cheng. We all know how powerful Dao Friend is. Since Dao Friend knows Brother Jierwei, then you are also an acquaintance. For a powerhouse like Dao Friend to intervene in the affairs of Sifting Forest Star's inner sex without asking about right or wrong, isn't it a bit too much? Of course, I'm just an early-stage eternal cultivator. Dao Friend can kill me at any time, but I still have to speak my mind. Unfortunately, although both were at the early-stage eternal realm, the gap between Lian Yan and Ning Cheng was too big. The imposing aura of the two's domains collided, and Lian Yan's domain immediately shattered. He no longer had the right to speak in this space. She knew this Ning Cheng better than the average person. She had seen Ning Cheng extinguish Old Man Kong He's prestige and kill Fu Si, someone she couldn't even imagine. What's more, Ning Cheng had shown her kindness. Even if he didn't, Blue Lake Mountain couldn't afford to offend such a powerhouse. Ning Cheng motioned for Xian Chanshu to stand aside before speaking to Guang Rong. Presumably, your Blue Lake Mountain's Lan Yi is about to come out of seclusion to break through to the eternal realm, right? Go back and tell everyone in your Blue Lake Mountain that I, Ning Cheng, will take care of this matter. The elders and sect masters of the major sects started to panic. No one thought that Ning Cheng was lying. How could a powerhouse like Ning Cheng have the free time to come to this place and pretend to be a disciple of another sect? What they were thinking about was what to do next. Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had such a powerhouse, yet they wanted to occupy Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's mystic realm. Countless eyes stared at him, and Lian Yan almost went crazy. He desperately tried to burn his essence blood and longevity. But he soon discovered that although he couldn't move, he could still burn his essence blood to self-destruct. Ning Cheng didn't answer Lian Yan's words at all. Instead, his domain surged out. How could Ning Cheng not understand Chu Xuxing's meaning? He glanced at Chu Xuxing and spoke with disdain. Are you familiar with Xiao Jierwei? Seeing Ning Cheng kill Universal Development Sect's sect master and elder in an instant, the other 5 major sects experts stood up one after another with uneasy expressions on their faces. Ning Cheng's strength was just too strong, so much so that they didn't dare to speak out against him. Chu Xuxing's soul almost jumped out of his body when he heard Ning Cheng's words. He had thought that Ning Cheng, like him, would take out experts like Yi Jiufeng and Xiao Jierwei to show off. He never expected that Ning Cheng and Xiao Jierwei would have a grudge against each other. Moreover, Ning Cheng even cut off one of Xiao Jierwei's arms in Xiao Jierwei's lair, Devil Domain. Guang Ruotong felt shocked when she heard Ning Cheng's words. She immediately bowed and said, "This junior greets Senior Ning. My Blue Lake Mountain is in the wrong in this matter and is willing to accept punishment." Ning Cheng had a good impression of Blue Lake Mountain's Lan Yi. This woman not only had a good heart, but she also gave him a very important material in exchange. However, Ning Cheng also felt unhappy that Blue Lake Mountain wanted to occupy the Rainbow Fall Mystic Realm. This person was Void Border Gate's sect master, Chu Xuxing, who also had early-stage eternal cultivation. Since Void Border Gate's Genius Core disciple fell in Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, he had made up his mind to destroy Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. However, he didn't expect that such a terrifying powerhouse would appear at this critical time. After putting on a show, he bowed to Ning Cheng and asked for instructions, willing to accept punishment. Ning Cheng ignored Guang Ruotong and spoke up in a clear voice. "I'm Ning Cheng, from Graceful Star Mainland's Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. I'm also the sect master of Graceful Star Mainland's Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Do you think I'm qualified to take care of this matter? I'm very clear about what happened today. Universal Development Sect, Constellation Sect, Scarlet Cloud Faction, Green Feather Spirit Religion, Void Border Gate and Blue Lake Mountain coveted my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Rainbow Fall Mystic Realm. That's why they came to my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect to kill our Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's core disciple." Guang Ruotong's face turned red and didn't speak again. What Xian Chanshu said was the truth. They all came here to take over Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's mystic realm. But now that Ning Qing had come out, he changed his words to reason. Boom. In front of countless onlookers, Lian Yan's body exploded into a terrifying celestial essence. He finally chose to self-destruct. Ning Qing had arranged the entrapment formation in a hurry. Therefore, Lian Yan's celestial essence explosion not only tore the entrapment formation apart but also turned the dueling platform into nothingness. However, the Sword Stone public square didn't suffer any damage. A young female cultivator quickly walked up to Ning Qing and bowed. Lan Yi greets Senior Ning. Many thanks for Senior's help. He addressed Xiao Jierui as elder brother because he wanted to stick gold on his face. Even if he was also an eternal-level powerhouse, Xiao Jierui wouldn't even glance at him. He had only spoken a few words to Xiao Jierui at a random gathering. Ning Qing looked at the group of clowns in front of him with a sneer. He really wanted to use his time wheel to deal with them. However, he also understood that this matter had to be handled by Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master Xian Chanshu. After all, he couldn't stay here forever. Moreover, Xian Chanshu was the sect master of this place. Chapter 839. Ning Qing turned to Xian Chanshu beside him and said, "You're the sect master of Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. You can handle it." Xian Chanshu immediately stood up when he heard Ning Qing's words. Because of Universal Development Sect's bullying, my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect suffered a huge loss this time. Before Xian Chanshu could finish his words, Chu Xuxing quickly spoke up, Yes. This time, we were bewitched by other sections. We should compensate Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. I suggest that each sect come up with a star vein, 100 million perpetual moon pills, and 1,000,000 permanent essence pills. In addition, we should give up 10 spots to enter the Sifting Forest Mystic Realm. Ning Qing didn't know what the Sifting Forest Mystic Realm was, but he guessed that it should be something similar to the Time Wilderness. But he sneered in his heart. This Chu Xuxing's dream was too beautiful. Compensation? With such a thing happening, even if he didn't kill them all, these sects would have to give up the Sifting Forest Star. To Ning Qing's surprise, Xian Chanshu hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement with Chu Xuxing's words. Sect Master Chu is right. Everyone was bewitched by Universal Development Sect this time. Now that Universal Development Sect's Sect Master has fallen, we should be united. As for compensation, let's follow Sect Master Chu's words. Ning Qing frowned slightly, but he quickly understood Xian Chanshu's meaning. When he let Xian Chanshu take charge, Xian Chanshu understood that he wouldn't stay in Rainbow Fall Sword Sect for long. Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's current momentum was built on him. Once he left, if Rainbow Fall Sword Sect offended too many sects, it wouldn't be able to survive in Sifting Forest Star. As a sect master, Xian Chanshu's consideration was the right one. Seeing Xian Chanshu's gaze, Ning Qing waved his hand. Just follow Sect Master Xian's words, except for one sect. Ning Qing walked up to the only remaining elder of Universal Development Sect and said coldly, 2 things. First, Universal Development Sect will send the culprits who killed Feng Kong to Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Second, Universal Development Sect will get the hell out of Sifting Forest Star. Yes, Senior. It was Bao Xian and Liang Qiuqi who forced Feng Kong to kill him. My Universal Development Sect will definitely leave the Sifting Forest Star as soon as possible. How could this elder dare to say anything else? After he finished speaking, he quickly retreated. Universal Development Sect tried to force Rainbow Fall Sword Sect to retreat, but the result was the complete opposite. Instead of forcing Rainbow Fall Sword Sect to retreat, they ended up forcing them to retreat. The elders and sect masters of the several major academies were even more determined to establish a good relationship with the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Since Universal Development Sect withdrew from the Sifting Forest Star, Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had to take over the mineral veins and spiritual lands left behind by Universal Development Sect. Sect Master Ning, many years ago, I met a Rainbow Fall Sword Sect disciple from the Graceful Star mainland in Grand Culmination's starry sky. His name was Rui Baishan. Before Xian Chanshu could finish, Ning Qing interrupted him. Did you say that Sect Master Rui Baishan also came here? Xian Chanshu initially thought that Ning Cheng was Rui Baishan's senior. But now that he heard Ning Cheng address Rui Baishan as sect master, respectfully, he realized that Ning Cheng wasn't Rui Baishan's senior. He could no longer continue to call out Rui Baishan's name directly and carefully spoke up. Yes, Sect Master Rui followed me to the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect for half a year before heading to the Starry Skies alone to gain experience. Ning Cheng had some understanding of Rui Baishan. He knew that this person was a very strong person and was very good at seizing opportunities. Rui Baishan wouldn't stay in the sect and become a dead cultivator. Ning Cheng nodded. I'm going to leave this place. If you need anything, you can come to Grand Culmination Starry Skies Mysterious Yellow Celestial River to find me. The Mysterious Yellow Celestial River is mine, and the Mysterious Yellow Sect is a sect that I just established. If Rainbow Falls Sword Sect faces any restrictions in the future, you can go to the Mysterious Yellow Celestial River. When Xian Chanshu heard that Ning Cheng had also established his own sect, his expression turned even more respectful. He also vaguely guessed that Ning Cheng wasn't a disciple trained by Graceful Star Mainland's Rainbow Falls Sword Sect. Otherwise, Ning Cheng wouldn't have established his own sect. Seeing Ning Cheng about to leave, Yu Yayun quickly came forward to thank him. She found that the vine marks on her wrists had disappeared after the fight. Ning Cheng must have taken them away. Ning Cheng then said to Xian Chanshu, Yu Yun is a good disciple. Give her a safe cave and focus on cultivation. Xian Chanshu naturally knew that Ning Cheng had helped Yu Yun. But before Ning Cheng left, he specifically asked him to take care of Yu Yayun. Therefore, Xian Chanshu immediately understood that Ning Cheng had taken a fancy to Yu Yayun. Yu Yayun's current appearance would indeed arouse a man's interest, so it wasn't surprising that Ning Cheng took a fancy to her. Thinking of this, Xian Chanshu quickly said, Sect Master Ning, rest assured. I will definitely take care of Yu Yayun. If Ning Cheng knew about Xian Chanshu's thoughts, he would have kicked him. The reason why he said those words just now had nothing to do with Yu Yayun. It was because he knew that Yu Yayun had a life and death cultivator's ring on her. If he didn't ask Xian Chanshu to take care of her, he wouldn't have helped Yu Yayun but harmed her. Yu Yayun's face turned slightly red. Even if Ning Cheng liked her, she wouldn't change her mind. She only had Liang Yi in her heart. Even if Liang Yi fell, she wouldn't change her mind. Just when she was thinking about how to let her aunt bring her thoughts to the sect master, Ning Cheng cupped his fists towards the sect master, Yu Bo, and the others and said, I'm leaving. If you need anything, you can come to Stately River Star to find me. After saying this, Ning Cheng stepped into the void and disappeared, leaving not even a trace behind. Yu Yayun felt slightly relieved. She knew that she and the sect master had overthought things. If Ning Cheng really had feelings for her, he would have sent her a voice transmission before leaving. Chasing Bull controlled the Starry Sky wheel to travel through the starry sky while Ning Cheng took out the Celestial River Flame and Void Shimmering Light Crystal. He wanted to upgrade the Celestial River Flame's grade first. The Void Shimmering Light Crystal looked like a space-type crystal on the surface and seemed hollow. But once one's spiritual consciousness penetrated it, one could feel the heat coming from the thousands of shimmering lights. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness couldn't linger inside and could only withdraw as soon as it touched it. As soon as the Celestial River Flame and the Void Shimmering Light Crystal came into contact, the brilliant Celestial River Flame created a spark. The moment the Celestial River Flame swept away the Void Shimmering Light Crystal, the dazzling brilliance instantly lit up the entire starry sky wheel like a rising sun. Chasing Bull, who controlled the starry sky wheel, was startled by the sudden burst of dazzling light. But it quickly understood that its master was upgrading the flame and quickly concentrated on controlling the starry sky wheel. In just an incense stick worth of time, the dazzling light on the surface of the Celestial River Flame dissipated. The Celestial River Flame floated in front of Ning Cheng, looming like a vast and boundless celestial river. 6 almost invisible golden flame lines suspended on the surface of the Celestial River Flame, looking like 6 galaxies in the starry sky. It looked very beautiful. Ning Cheng also felt the joy of the Celestial River Flame and the higher temperature of the Celestial River Flame. Ning Cheng didn't wait and took out the Nirvana's heart. The celestial river flame had already advanced to a grade 6 starry sky flame. Since he had the Nirvana's heart, he naturally wanted to upgrade the celestial river flame to the next level and become the spirit grade flame that old man Kong He mentioned. Previously, when Ning Cheng took out the void shimmering light crystal, the celestial river flame had only produced a spark before absorbing the void shimmering light crystal into the flame. At this time, when Ning Cheng took out the Nirvana's heart, the celestial river flame, which had already reached the grade 6 starry sky flame, gave out a joyful screech, and the entire flame rushed towards it. At this time, Ning Cheng could only see the terrifying temperature coming from the Nirvana's heart intertwining with the celestial river flame within the flame. Ning Cheng tried to extend his spiritual consciousness inside, but just as his spiritual consciousness touched the Nirvana's heart, the terrifying heat swept away. Ning Cheng quickly retracted his spiritual consciousness. The celestial river flame was still evolving and couldn't fully suppress the Nirvana's heart. As such, his spiritual consciousness couldn't observe it for now. Although his spiritual consciousness couldn't sweep in, Ning Cheng could clearly see that the celestial river flame was gradually converging. The vast celestial river flame seemed to have hidden itself, and the bright surface of the flame also became ordinary. If not for the flame's temperature continuing to rise, Ning Cheng would have thought that the celestial river flame wasn't evolving, but regressing. As the Nirvana's heart in the center of the celestial river flame grew weaker, the celestial river flame also became more ordinary. After an unknown amount of time, when the Nirvana's heart in the center of the celestial river flame completely disappeared, the celestial river flame turned completely dim. Was this dim celestial river flame? Ning Cheng quickly discovered the difference. If the celestial river flame before looked like a vast and boundless celestial river, then the current celestial river flame looked like an endless starry sky. Although the bright brilliance on the surface had disappeared, it still contained an endless celestial river flame. If one didn't enter this part of the starry sky, one wouldn't know what this part of the starry sky contained. While Ning Cheng was still observing the celestial river flame, the dim flame fell into Ning Cheng's palm, bringing with it a sense of intimacy. Ning Cheng's mind once again connected with the celestial river flame, and Ning Cheng immediately felt a terrifying temperature. Ning Cheng muttered to himself in shock, "Is this the celestial river flame of the god rank?" He had never used this flame before. But Ning Cheng had a hunch that this flame could burn everything in the starry sky, even the void. Compared to the starry sky flames, the god rank flame was simply too abnormal. After Ning Cheng muttered to himself, the celestial river flame unexpectedly transmitted a thought to him. "Yes, Master, I just advanced to the spirit flame realm." Ning Cheng slapped his head speechlessly. Chasing Bull, this fool, caused all his pets to call him Master. Even a flame called him Master. This must have been influenced by Chasing Bull. Chasing Bull, who was still controlling the starry sky wheel, sneezed a few times. It seemed to realize that its master was scolding it behind its back. It quickly shrank its head and increased the speed of the starry sky wheel. Ning Cheng raised his hand and took out the Nirvana spear and said, "Hurry up and see if you can melt it." Ning Cheng searched everywhere for materials to upgrade his flame. Apart from improving his strength after upgrading his flame, the more important purpose was to melt the Nirvana spear. Only by melting the Nirvana spear could he refine it into a spirit-transforming spear. Ning Cheng felt extremely excited when he took out the Nirvana spear and let the flame refine it. He felt sure that the celestial river flame could refine the Nirvana spear. The celestial river flame had already advanced to the highest grade of flame in this part of the starry sky. It would have been strange if it couldn't melt the Nirvana spear. But a few days later, the disappointment in Ning Cheng's eyes grew even stronger. Not to mention melting the Nirvana spear, the celestial river flame couldn't even burn a mark on it. At this time, the celestial river flame also transmitted a shameful thought. "Master, my level is too low to melt the Nirvana spear." Chapter 840. Ning Cheng felt even more certain that the Nirvana spear was made from an extraordinary material. Although the celestial river flame had evolved to such a degree, it still couldn't melt the Nirvana spear. What kind of grade did it have? No matter what grade it was, the celestial river flame could not be refined. Ning Cheng could only put away the Nirvana spear and concentrate on studying the teleportation array. After coming into contact with the laws of space, Ning Cheng's understanding of the Tao of arrays had become completely different from before. After several years of research on the Tao of array formations, coupled with the fusion of the laws of space, Ning Cheng's proficiency in the Tao of array formation soared. After coming into contact with the laws of space, it only took him a month to become a true array Tao master, which he had been unable to break through in the past few years. As long as he had enough materials, he could arrange an array formation that surpassed Starry Sky Grade 9. The more you learn, the more ignorant you become. This sentence was just too appropriate for Ning Cheng. Previously, Ning Cheng thought that as long as he advanced to the array Tao master realm, even if he couldn't accurately modify the teleportation array to a fixed location, he could at least arrange it to meet his requirements, which was to teleport to a place not far from the other end. Only after advancing to become an array Tao master did Ning Cheng realize how ridiculous his idea was. Even though he had advanced to become an array Tao master, he was still unable to change the teleportation array into what he had imagined. After hesitating for a long time, Ning Cheng finally took out the array pattern. Although he was thinking of using this array pattern if he couldn't complete the long-distance teleportation array's one-way teleportation, he still wanted to keep it in his heart. At this moment, he would definitely not be able to complete this teleportation array in a short period of time. He would not be able to do it without using the array pattern. What he was worried about now was not the exhaustion of the array pattern, but whether this array pattern was of a high enough grade. If the grade of the array pattern was not high enough, even if he used it, he would not be able to complete this one-way teleportation array. Opening the jade box, Ning Cheng raised his hand and shot out a faintly discernible circular array pattern. The array pattern landed on the teleportation array like a stone thrown into a calm lake. Circle after circle of ripples spread out, and in just a few breaths, the entire structure of the transmission array appeared in Ning Cheng's mind. The array foundation, the array heart, and even the nature of the laws of space used for it all fell into Ning Cheng's grasp. Ning Cheng immediately immersed himself in it. Some things that were originally blurry became clear under this array pattern. Countless array Tao concepts that he had never come into contact with before were accepted by him at this moment, and then integrated into his own. Ning Cheng subconsciously threw out a few array flags, causing the transmission array to quickly change. An hour later, the rippling array pattern finally disappeared, causing Ning Cheng to suddenly wake up. He wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, he was filled with intense surprise. With the help of the formation pattern, he completed the one-way teleportation. At this point, as long as he threw the permanent essence pill into the array slot, he could activate the teleportation array. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh of relief. For this transmission array, he had spent many years, and now he had finally completed the arrangement of this one-way transmission array. Furthermore, because of this teleportation array, his understanding of array Tao had reached a whole new level. After sealing the teleportation array under the Thorn-Tooth Lake, Ning Cheng returned to Jiangzhou Star. Even if he wanted to leave, he intended to take Luofei and Ruolin with him. Before Ning Cheng arrived at Stately River Star, his spiritual consciousness swept towards Tsang Tsaiha on the public square outside Stately River Star. Not only was Tsang Tsaiha here, but Ning Ruolin, Luofei, and even Ning Ruoqing were also here. Gong Xiaozhu and Bei Junyi, who were in charge of Stately River Star and Mysterious Yellow Celestial River, were also here. Opposite them stood a man and a woman. The two had arrogant looks on their faces and seemed to be confronting Tsang Tsaiha and the others. It shouldn't be a big deal. If it were a big deal, Tsang Tsaiha would have already sent a message to him. However, Ning Cheng still felt a little unhappy. Even after coming to Stately River Star, they still acted so arrogantly. They even brought out Tsang Tsaiha. From the looks of it, this man and woman didn't seem to be modest people. Putting away the Starry Sky wheel, Ning Cheng and Chasing Bull landed on the public square outside Stately River Star. As soon as Ning Cheng returned, Tsang Tsaiha and the others saw him. Ji Lufei and Ning Ruolin quickly came up, with Ji Luofei's eyes filled with longing. Seeing Ning Ruolin advance to the Celestial Gatherer realm, Ning Cheng felt very happy. No matter how many cultivation resources he had, if he couldn't convert them into his own strength, it would be useless. Since Ning Ruolin had advanced to the Celestial Gatherer realm, it showed that she had been working very hard in secluded cultivation. Ning Ruoqing also felt happy on seeing Ning Cheng come back. She stepped in front of Ning Cheng and spoke with joy, "You came back at the right time. My cultivation has recovered a lot. If that Lu comes again, I'll slap him to death." Song Zaiha and the others also came over to greet Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng quickly said to Ning Ruoqing, "We'll talk about this later when we get back." Ning Cheng had just greeted the crowd, but did not have the time to ask who this man and woman were, when the woman gave a snort and spoke. "Finally someone who can speak, are you that Ning Cheng?" Ning Cheng didn't answer the woman's words. Instead, his gaze swept over the man and woman. Not only did the two of them look terrifyingly young, but their cultivations were also terrifyingly high. This man and woman didn't look like the kind of powerhouses who dominated a region. Moreover, they didn't have many traces of starry sky tempering. Yet, both of them had this kind of cultivation. How could Ning Cheng not feel surprised? He had fought desperately in the starry sky, and he even had the mysterious yellow bead. Yet, after so many years, he only reached the early stage eternal realm. Moreover, this man and woman not only looked young but also had powerful cultivation. Moreover, they also looked very beautiful. It wasn't appropriate to use the word beautiful to describe the man. But in Ning Cheng's eyes, this man was truly beautiful. Not only did he have exquisite facial features, but his skin also looked like a woman's. From his aura and Adam's apple, Ning Cheng could tell that he wasn't a woman in disguise. The woman didn't lose out to the man, but she looked younger. She had a tall stature and a voluptuous chest. The pretty girl's face combined with her curvaceous figure gave people a visual impact. If it weren't for her arrogant demeanor and her eyes looking up to the sky, this beautiful face would have given people a good impression of her at first glance. "Brother, these two people say they're from Butterfly Mountain. They've been here for many days, but they speak as if someone owes them a planet." Ning Ruolin whispered from the side. "Butterfly Mountain?" Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He knew about this place. It was a place that even the 4 starry sky emperors feared. Duan Gantai said that he was from Butterfly Mountain. But he had never had anything to do with these people. So what were these people doing here? Song Zaiha saw Ning Cheng frowning and quickly spoke up. "They've been here for more than half a month and said they were looking for you. But because you weren't here, I didn't let them in. Today, they said that if you didn't come back to see them, they would leave. Then, Butterfly Mountain would list Jiangzhou Star as an unwelcome place." Hearing that these two people didn't do anything, Ning Cheng's expression turned a little better. As for Butterfly Mountain listing Jiangzhou Star as an unwelcome place, Ning Cheng didn't care about it at all. He, Jiangzhou Star, didn't need to follow others to please them, not even Butterfly Mountain. "I just asked you, are you Ning Cheng or not?" The woman saw Ning Cheng ignore her and spoke up with a frown. Ning Cheng replied with a calm voice, "Yes, I'm Ning Cheng. I have nothing to do with your Butterfly Mountain, and my Jiangzhou Star doesn't want to have anything to do with your Butterfly Mountain in the future. Please leave." The woman snorted again and said, "Then I'll tell you, we don't have anything to do with each other. My name is Duan Qian, and I come from Butterfly Mountain. This is my cousin In Xiushan, also from Butterfly Mountain. We came here to ask you one thing. Where did that thief Duan Gantai go?" Ning Cheng understood from this woman's words that this was a young lady who always stayed at home in secluded cultivation. She rarely went out and rarely interacted with others. Even if she wanted to inquire about Duan Gantai's whereabouts, she wouldn't say anything about this thief. Wasn't it clear that she wanted to capture Duan Gantai? If he had a friendship with Duan Gantai, she would have provided him with a piece of information. Ning Cheng felt a little angry, but after knowing that this woman was an idiot, his anger disappeared. Getting angry with such a person would only bring trouble to himself. Ning Cheng replied unhurriedly, "How would I know where Duan Gantai went? He is him and I am me. My Jiangzhou Star doesn't have the person you're looking for, so I won't be seeing you off." Hearing Ning Cheng's disrespectful words, Duan Qian's face turned cold. A layer of frost covered her pretty face. Usually, as long as they mentioned the two words Butterfly Mountain, they would be respected and treated as VIPs wherever they went. They never expected that a small Jiangzhou star would dare to put on airs. If not for the strict orders before coming here, Jiangzhou stars Song Tsaihe wouldn't have given them any reason to act up. They had waited outside Jiangzhou Star for more than 10 days and would have long since made their move. According to the news we heard, you and Duan Gantai have a good relationship and have worked together several times. Last time, you even participated in the auction in the Devil Domain. The last time Duan Gantai disappeared was after the auction in the Devil Domain. Are you sure you want to help him hide the news? Don't blame me for not reminding you of the consequences of offending my Butterfly Mountain. Maybe in the next moment, your Jiangzhou star will turn into dust. If you take my words as a threat, it's fine. Duan Qian, who felt very dissatisfied with Ning Cheng's attitude, sneered. Ning Cheng's face turned cold. He didn't want to argue with these two inexperienced people, but it didn't mean that others could threaten his Jiangzhou star. Get out of here, or don't blame me for being impolite. So what if it was Butterfly Mountain? Whoever offended his Jiangzhou star, don't blame him for sending them back. You're courting death. Duan Qian almost trembled with anger when she heard Ning Cheng telling her to get out. When had she ever suffered such grievances, especially in a small place like Jiangzhou Star? At the same time as Duan Qian's murderous domain stretched out, Yin Xiushan, who stood next to her, also released his murderous aura. Although he hadn't said a word until now, he also felt unhappy with Ning Cheng in his heart. Jiangzhou Star was just a small planet, yet he dared to tell people from Butterfly Mountain to fuck off? Did he want to fight? The moment the two people's murderous domains stretched out, Ning Cheng's domain also blasted out. He wasn't a gentle and easygoing person like Song Tsaihe. Crack. Even if Yin Xiushan and Duan Qian's domains overlapped, they couldn't stop Ning Cheng's domain and instantly shattered. The two people's expressions changed. They raised their hands and two lights from weapons appeared over their heads. Stop. Just when the fight was about to break out, a shout arrived, and then a blue light fell on the public square outside Jiangzhou Star. Chapter 841. It was a middle-aged man in a green robe, dressed like a Confucian scholar. Even though he was a middle-aged man, it did not detract from his extraordinary handsomeness. Butterfly Mountain's Duan Wenbai greets Sect Master Ning. My Butterfly Mountain's disciples have offended you before. On behalf of Butterfly Mountain, I would like to apologize to Sect Master Ning. I hope that Sect Master Ning will not haggle over these juniors. This middle-aged man had an excellent demeanor. After reprimanding Duan Qian and Yin Xiushan, he spoke to Ning Cheng in an extremely polite manner. His words were not only polite, but they also made people feel comfortable. After Duan Wenbai greeted Ning Cheng, he cupped his fists towards Song Tsaihe again and said, "This should be the Starry Sky's premier Pill Emperor, Brother Tsong. It's an honor to see the elegance of the premier Pill Emperor today." No matter how arrogant Duan Qian and Yin Xiushan were, they didn't dare to spout nonsense in front of Duan Wenbai. Now that the two of them heard Duan Wenbai being so polite to Ning Cheng, and even said that the two of them were Ning Cheng's juniors, it immediately caused the two of them to be shocked. Although they had never walked within the starry skies, they were still middle-stage eternal powerhouses. For two eternal-level cultivators to respect Ning Cheng as a senior, wouldn't that make Ning Cheng a terrifying existence? However, when the two of them thought about how their superimposed domains couldn't compare to Ning Cheng's domain, they both felt a little puzzled. It seemed that what Uncle Master Wenbai had said was true. This Ning Cheng really was somewhat powerful. Ning Cheng also cupped his fists and replied, "I dare not, I am the mysterious Yellow Sect Master Ning Cheng." Ning Cheng also couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The three people from the Butterfly Mountain were either handsome or beautiful. That Duan Gantai also came from Butterfly Mountain, so why was he so ugly? This Duan Wenbai's cultivation was very strong and should not be any weaker than Wu Yuankong. Duan Wenbai saw that Ning Cheng didn't invite him to stately River Star and understood that Ning Cheng didn't have any good impression of Butterfly Mountain. Therefore, he spoke up directly, "I heard that Duan Gantai once had a relationship with Sect Master Ning?" After a pause, he added, "This question is a bit presumptuous. I hope Sect Master Ning doesn't mind it. I asked him because Duan Gantai is also a disciple of my Butterfly Mountain. Ning Qing nodded. It's true. I had some problems with Duan Gantai. The reason why we worked together in the Devil Domain was because he had obtained the radish grass, while I could refine the radish grass into Eternal Emperor Continuance pills. After that collaboration, I haven't seen him again. So that's how it is. Duan Wenbai suddenly spoke. He did not know if he believed Ning Cheng's words or not. On the other hand, Duan Qian and Yin Xiushan breathed in a sigh of relief. This sect Master Ning still wanted Eternal Emperor Continuance pills, which meant that he didn't look like much. Seventh Grand Elder's previous words were probably just to scare them. Ning Qing didn't have a good impression of Duan Gantai, so he naturally wouldn't help Duan Gantai hide anything. He then took out a piece of connecting spirit silk and handed it to Duan Wenbai before saying, "This connecting spirit silk was given to me by Duan Gantai for that brief cooperation. Now that the cooperation is over, if Duan Gantai wants to find me, he would open the connecting spirit silk. Now, I will give this connecting spirit silk to Brother Duan. I hope that Brother Duan can find your Butterfly Mountain disciples as soon as possible." As such, Ning Qing didn't mind using it against Duan Gantai. This connecting spirit silk was of no use to him. If Duan Gantai dared to look for him again, then he could only wait for Duan Wenbai to teach him a lesson. As for the two idiots, Duan Qian and Yin Xiushan, even if they managed to stop Duan Gantai, Ning Qing estimated that these two fellows wouldn't be enough to feed Duan Gantai. Seeing that Ning Qing even took out the connecting spirit silk, Duan Wenbai felt overjoyed and quickly took the connecting spirit silk. Many thanks, Sect Master Ning. Butterfly Mountain welcomes Sect Master Ning at any time. If one day Sect Master Ning decides to leave this side of the starry sky, remember to take a trip to Butterfly Mountain. Ning Qing froze for a moment. He wanted to leave this part of the starry sky, but what did it have to do with Butterfly Mountain? Duan Wenbai, on seeing Ning Cheng's doubts, quickly said, "There is a starry sky boundary point near my Butterfly Mountain. This boundary point leads to a high-level interface. That's where the people from the Grand Essence Realm came from." Ning Qing looked at Duan Wenbai and asked, "Brother Duan, did your Butterfly Mountain know that people from the Grand Essence Realm went to the mysterious Yellow Starland?" Duan Wenbai faintly smiled. "Of course, my Butterfly Mountain is guarding this boundary point, so how could we not know that someone is coming from there? It's just that the old ancestor has yet to come out of seclusion, so our Butterfly Mountain can only endure it for now. It is all thanks to Sect Master Ning that we managed to eradicate all these outsiders." After saying that, Duan Wenbai bowed to Ning Qing and cupped his fists. Ning Qing looked calm on the surface, but he sneered in his heart. Butterfly Mountain's existence was to guard the boundary point? How fucking shameless. Just by going into seclusion, he had already killed hundreds of millions of cultivators in the mysterious Yellow Starland. How could such a person have the nerve to call himself a boundary point? When he went to the mysterious Yellow Starland with Chuan Xinlo and the others, there wasn't even a shadow of Butterfly Mountain. Even someone like Chuan Xinlo knew that he couldn't let the Ninth Prince's group mess around in this part of the starry sky, so he invited him to the mysterious Yellow Starland. As a guardian, Butterfly Mountain used such a ridiculous excuse to inform the old ancestor to come out of seclusion? From the looks of it, Butterfly Mountain already knew about the existence of the 5 Grand Realms. They stayed at that boundary point and had nothing to do with guarding it. They just wanted to find a chance to leave this place. Ning Qing felt disdain in his heart, but he still spoke with a calm voice. "I don't have the ability to kill the people from the Grand Essence Realm. They had internal strife, and both sides suffered heavy losses. That's why I barely managed to escape from the mysterious Yellow Starland. Otherwise, I would have already died there. Sect Master Ning is too modest. Think about that Ninth Prince, even my Butterfly Mountain's old ancestor might not be able to control him. Yet, Sect Master Ning easily injured him. My Butterfly Mountain's old ancestor specifically told me to invite Sect Master Ning to Butterfly Mountain as a guest when I come to stately River Star." Duan Wenbai spoke with a straight face. Ning Qing frowned slightly. During the battle in Moi City, no one from Butterfly Mountain should have been there. Yet, Brother Duan seems to have been there in person. Only Shen Mengyan had seen him injure ninth Prince Manjuran. Moreover, Shen Mengyan and Pan Qian had already left this part of the starry sky, so they would never tell on him. Duan Wenbai spoke up with admiration, leveled heart Heavenly Emperor and the others wanted to leave the boundary point. At my Butterfly Mountain's invitation, the four of them came to my Butterfly Mountain as guests and even held a treasure exchange at my Butterfly Mountain. Because of this, I realized just how thrilling the battle in Moi City was. Sect Master Ning single-handedly turned the tide. My Butterfly Mountain felt ashamed apart from admiration. So, it turned out that Chuan Xinlo and the others leaked it. Ning Qing nodded and thought to himself, since your Butterfly Mountain is so shameless, don't say such a shameful thing. After a while, Ning Qing asked again, Brother Duan, I remember that 9 Phoenix Heavenly Emperor didn't leave with Chuan Xinlo and the others, right? How could there be 4 of them? Duan Wenbai chuckled. It seems that Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor returned a Breaking Boundary Talisman to 9 Phoenix Heavenly Emperor. That's why 9 Phoenix Heavenly Emperor didn't leave with Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor and returned to the Grand Spirit Heaven's starry sky first. As for whether she left this place or not, I really don't know. But I'm sure that she didn't go to the boundary point again. Ning Qing cupped his fists. Many thanks for Brother Duan's information. If I go to the boundary point in the future, I will definitely visit Butterfly Mountain. Okay, then I'll be looking forward to Sect Master Ning's arrival. After saying that, he took out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Qing. Sect Master Ning, this is my Butterfly Mountain's starry sky directional jade strip. When Sect Master Ning goes there, just follow the instructions in the jade strip and you will arrive at my Butterfly Mountain. After giving the jade strip to Ning Qing, Duan Wenbai left with Duan Qian and Yin Xiushan. Ning Qing didn't invite Duan Wenbai to Stately River Star but returned to the mysterious yellow sect with Tsang Caihe and the others. 7th Elder Taoist, why were you so polite to that surnamed Ning? After leaving Stately River Star, Duan Qian muttered with some unwillingness. Ning Qing dared to tell her to get lost. If not for 7th Elder Taoist, she would have definitely taught that Ning Qing a lesson. So what if he crushed their domains? How could a sect master of a small sect compare to her Butterfly Mountain's methods? Moreover, that Ning Qing had just started looking for Eternal Emperor continuance pills not long ago. Presumably, his cultivation wasn't that high. What was the use of having a strong domain? Duan Wenbai gave a cold snort. You can seek death, but don't pull my Butterfly Mountain into it. I remember that before we came out, we repeatedly told you not to think that just because you came from Butterfly Mountain, you shouldn't be so arrogant. If I hadn't come here in time today, you too would have died a long time ago. At that time, my Butterfly Mountain would have gained another powerful enemy. Seeing the two suppressed by him, Duan Wenbai spoke up with an even harsher voice, that Ning Qing's cultivation isn't any lower than our ancestors. You two can't even withstand a slap from him. Duan Qian and Yin Xiushan felt truly stunned. They naturally knew about the strength of Butterfly Mountain's ancestor. How could Ning Qing, this seemingly ordinary cultivator, compare to their ancestor? Duan Wenbai's tone turned cold. If he didn't have this ability, the 9th prince would have already killed him in the mysterious Yellow Starland. The reason why our ancestor didn't stop the 9th prince was not only because of the 9th prince's background, but also because he was afraid that the 9th prince and the 9th prince would have suffered heavy losses. But that Sect Master Ning could seriously injure the 9th prince and return to Stately River Star unscathed. How strong do you think he is? Maybe you aren't familiar with the 9th prince, but you should know about the Traceless Immortal Pond, right? I know about this. When we came out, Master told us not to go to the Traceless Immortal Pond casually. Especially Traceless Immortal Pond's Sect Master Wu Yuan Kong, whose cultivation isn't any lower than my Butterfly Mountain's Grand Elder. Duan Qian nodded quickly. Duan Wenbai sighed. That was when you first came out. But now, Traceless Immortal Pond only exists in name. 2 years ago, Traceless Immortal Pond's Sect Master Wu Yuan Kong and several eternal elders of Traceless Immortal Pond died at the hands of Sect Master Ning. What? Duan Qian and Yin Xiushan exclaimed at the same time. Then cold sweat poured down their backs. With Ning Cheng's strength, they could imagine that if the seventh elder Taoist hadn't found them in time, they would have already died outside stately River Star. Within Ning Cheng's cave in covered Snow City, only Ning Cheng, Ning Ruolin, Ji Lufei, and Ning Ruoqing were present. I'll be leaving stately River Star for a while soon, because I haven't found a way back. Brother, are you leaving this place? Without waiting for Ning Cheng to finish, Ning Ruolin asked eagerly. Her eyes showed strong reluctance. She really didn't want to separate from her big brother again. Ji Lufei also felt the same. She naturally didn't want to separate from Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng smiled. This time I plan to take you with me. I still have a true spirit world. Then will Lian Dai, Xian, Li Lingfan, Zhang Qian, and the others also come with you? Ning Ruolin asked quickly. Although she and Helian Dai weren't blood-related sisters, they were no different from blood sisters. If Helian Dai left here alone, she would never feel at ease. If Helian Dai wanted to leave with them, then Helian Mingzhi, Li Lingfan, Luo Xian, Zhang Qian, and the others would also have to leave. No matter who stayed behind, it wouldn't be good. Chapter 842. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before speaking. I'm afraid that won't work. I don't even know where I'm going this time, but I'm going to find Yanji. After all, the true spirit world was not the mysterious yellow bead, and its laws were far worse than stately River Star. Ning Cheng suspected that the place he wanted to go this time might be a high-level positional plane. If something happened and caused the true spirit world to collapse, what would he do then? If it was only Ruolin and Lufei, he could still bring the two of them into the mysterious yellow bead. However, with the addition of many outsiders, once something happened, he would not have the ability to bring others into the mysterious yellow bead. Even if he had the ability to do so, the mysterious yellow bead was something that, other than the people closest to him, it would be very dangerous for others to know about it. Besides, he didn't know how long he would be gone. Li Lingfan, Luo Xian, and the others staying in stately River Star to cultivate was obviously much better than cultivating behind him. At the very least, they could still go to the starry sky to train with him. Before he had enough strength, they could only stay in the true spirit world. Brother, my cultivation is still too low. Jiangzhou Star is as stable as Mount Tai in this part of the starry sky. If I stay here and cultivate, I might make faster progress than following you. Why don't you and sister-in-law go first? Ruolin said hesitantly. She understood what her brother meant. The place they were going to this time should be a bit dangerous. With her cultivation, she would only be a burden if she followed behind her brother. It was better to stay here and cultivate until his strength increased. Ji Lufei, who had not spoken until now, also took the initiative to speak up. I'm about to break through to the heaven-seated realm soon. I don't feel at ease leaving Ruolin here alone. Now that everyone is in Jiangzhou Star, we can take care of each other. Ning Cheng was moved in his heart. He had already gone to look for Yanji before coming back. He still had two similar world-breaking talismans. Although the teleportation formation was far away, he could probably return here with the world-breaking talismans. Although bringing Ruolin and Luofei together was a good thing, it would put everyone in more danger. Moreover, it would not help their cultivation much. There were many cultivation resources in the true spirit world, but the true spirit world's heaven and earth laws were far from comparable to those of the outside world. As an eternal-level powerhouse, Ning Cheng naturally understood that understanding the laws of heaven and earth would determine the height a cultivator could reach. I will also stay in stately River Star. I have to continue my secluded cultivation, and there are many things that I can't remember. No one dares to come here. Even if that Lu guy comes, I'll send him flying. Ning Ruoqing spoke up casually. Compared to when she first came to stately River Star with Ning Cheng, her thoughts were much clearer. All right, I'll be back as soon as possible. Before Ruolin and Lufei reach the heaven-seated realm, don't leave Jiangzhou Star. After Ning Cheng finished, he took out 3 storage rings and prepared the cultivation resources for them. After the 3 of them put away the rings, Ning Cheng took out a white circle and a jade box before handing it to Ning Ruolin. What is this? Ning Ruolin received the 2 things in doubt. Ning Cheng pointed to the white circle and spoke in a cautious tone. This magical weapon is the Serene Water 9 patterned loop. It is of a very high grade. Since Lefei already has the glaze scroll, I will give it to you. Inside that jade box is an essence dragon soul. When your cultivation base is a bit higher, you can refine this essence dragon soul as a means of self-protection. The grade of the glaze scroll was very high. With this painting scroll, Lefei would definitely have the means to protect herself. On the other hand, Ruolin didn't have a good weapon. This time, Ning Cheng left these two things to Ruolin because Ruolin's cultivation was too low. Ning Cheng had taken the Serene Water 9 patterned loop from Wu Yuankong. It was a powerful weapon and suitable for Ruolin. As for the Essence Dragon Soul, Ning Cheng didn't refine it after obtaining it. He didn't need such a powerful assistant right now, so he gave it to Ruolin. Ning Ruoqing's cultivation was higher than his, so Ning Cheng left most of the things for Ning Ruoqing were star veins, space crystals, time stones, and so on. After Ning Ruolin and the others went into seclusion, Ning Cheng and Song Tsaiha began to reinforce Jiangzhou Star's defensive array. Now that he had advanced to the Array Dao Master Realm, he had a lot of materials on him. Therefore, before leaving, he naturally wanted to upgrade Jiangzhou Star's defensive array. 2 months later, Ning Cheng left Jiangzhou Star. He gave some of the cultivation resources to Song Tsaiha and repaired Sifting Orchid in Jiangzhou Star. Sifting Orchid once again restored the appearance of the 5-star battle disc. Because Ning Cheng personally repaired it this time, he knew the battle disc Sifting Orchid like the back of his hand. With Ning Cheng's current cultivation, he didn't need Sifting Orchid as a means of transportation. Ning Cheng repaired Sifting Orchid because Sifting Orchid had once saved him. As for the unfinished top-grade Starry Sky battleship, Ning Cheng didn't have the time to care about it right now. Ning Cheng woke up to the seawater. He even drank a few mouthfuls of the salty and bitter seawater. He never thought that he would pass out during the teleportation process one day. In fact, he really did pass out. The moment the teleportation array under Thorntooth Lake activated, he felt as if he had fallen into a void that transformed into countless different spaces every breath. Even Ning Cheng couldn't withstand such a horrifying spatial transformation. If Ning Cheng hadn't reached the late-stage Starry Sky body refining realm, he would have already turned into dust under such a terrifying spatial transformation. After waking up, Ning Cheng quickly spat out the seawater he had drunk. But even after waking up, he still felt some lingering fear. This must have been caused by his lack of proficiency in array formations. A true expert in array formations, even if it was a one-way teleportation, wouldn't let the person being teleported almost die during the spatial transformation. From this, Ning Cheng understood that even with the help of an array pattern, he still hadn't completed the teleportation array. However, Ning Cheng didn't have to worry about these things right now. Sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness, he found himself in a sea. All around him was a vast and boundless sea. Even his spiritual consciousness couldn't sweep to the edge. What shocked Ning Cheng even more was that there wasn't any Starry Sky spirit chi here. To be precise, there was an extremely thin aura in this place. Moreover, this aura seemed to be of a higher grade than Starry Sky spirit chi. However, this extremely thin aura didn't help one's cultivation at all. It was just like how Earth also had spirit chi, but the spirit chi here was almost non-existent. As such, it didn't help one's cultivation much. Ning Cheng sensed his body. Because of the tear caused by the one-way teleportation, his body looked like it was covered in void scratches. What made Ning Cheng feel a little happy was that he still had his cultivation. Ning Cheng was just about to rush out of the sea when a horrifying scream erupted. Following that, a white light shadow slammed into the sea 100 miles away from Ning Cheng. Boom! The loud sound almost shattered Ning Cheng's eardrums. Ning Cheng quickly stretched out his domain to protect himself. He understood that it was because of the fluctuations of magic power contained within the loud sound. The horrifying waves suddenly split apart, as if someone had suddenly torn the sea apart from both sides. This kind of powerful momentum made it so that the torn seawater couldn't recover for a while. At this moment, Ning Cheng's impression of the scene was that between the two waves, each several tens of thousands of feet high, there was a long gully split open. Then, a red-haired figure crossed the gully from his spiritual consciousness and quickly passed through it. The next moment, the waves rushed towards Ning Cheng, shattering Ning Cheng's domain inch by inch. Bang! The violent waves slammed into Ning Cheng's body and directly blew away Ning Cheng, who was covered in wounds. Just like some of the nearby fishes, he flew out like a kite with a broken string. Ning Cheng coughed up a mouthful of blood in the middle of the waves. He couldn't even resist. As the waves fell, Ning Cheng once again followed the waves and fell into the sea. Fortunately, the horrifying waves didn't come over again. Ning Cheng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and didn't rush out of the sea. Some of the huge fishes in the sea were smashed into pieces by the impact and scattered around Ning Cheng. The sea returned to its original appearance, as if the movement just now had never happened. Ning Cheng clenched his fists. Although he was only at the early stage eternal realm, his strength could sweep through a starry sky positional plane. But in this place, the aftermath of someone else's fight had almost killed him. Insignificant, he was just too insignificant. What the hell was this place? The starry sky essence chi was so thin, yet the cultivation was so abnormal? That red-haired figure had created such terrifying power with just a casual move. Goo goo, Ning Cheng's stomach growled, and a feeling of hunger washed over him. Even though Ning Cheng was still in the sea, he still felt startled by this feeling. Why did he feel hungry? One had to know that ever since he reached the essence-building realm, this feeling of hunger had disappeared. He had always relied on starry sky essence chi to replenish himself. Only on rare occasions would he eat something. It was all for the sake of his appetite. But now, in this place, he felt hungry. What the hell was going on? Ning Cheng quickly took out an airship Dao artifact that he had refined and threw it into the sea. At the same time, he jumped out of the sea and landed on the ship. After cleaning himself up, Ning Cheng immediately started to heal himself. It's just that his recovery speed in this place was not as fast as that in the 4 grand starry skies. Not only that, but after he absorbed the permanent essence pill, he felt less hungry, but his cultivation did not change at all. Ning Cheng's heart started to feel a bit gloomy. He vaguely felt that this was caused by the laws of heaven and earth in this place. The laws of heaven and earth here were much stronger than the laws of heaven and earth in the 4 grand starry skies positional plane. Therefore, the effects of his permanent essence pill cultivation were much weaker. Perhaps this place required a higher level of essence chi cultivation. Ning Cheng thought of the crystal stone that Yi Jiufeng had given him before she left. He took out the crystal stone and tried to absorb it. In just a few breaths, the crystal stone turned into flying ash in Ning Cheng's hand. Ning Cheng threw away the flying ash in his hand and sighed. He finally understood what was going on. After absorbing the crystal stone, the feeling of hunger suddenly weakened a lot. Moreover, his cultivation also started to rise a little. He could even feel his celestial essence changing, as if it was transforming into another kind of essence chi. Moreover, this essence chi was even more powerful than celestial essence. No wonder that red-haired fellow's attacks were so powerful. That fellow didn't use celestial essence at all, but a higher power. Ning Cheng muttered to himself. Chapter 843. Ning Cheng was still secretly thinking about what he should do, when a shadow covered the top of Ning Cheng's head. Ning Cheng immediately felt danger. At this moment, the surrounding space seemed to have been bound by a powerful force. Even if he wanted to break free, it would take him some time. Feeling anxious, Ning Cheng didn't have much time to think and immediately brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort. Boom! The pressure suddenly descended and landed on the everlasting blue thunder fort. The everlasting blue thunder fort, under the impact of this powerful force, issued a series of crackling sounds. For a moment, the sea surface splashed with lightning, and the powerful essence force blasted a huge hole in the seawater around Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng flew back under the force and spat out another mouthful of blood. Fortunately, he still had the everlasting blue thunder fort to block it. Otherwise, even with a starry sky body, he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. The binding force around him had just loosened a bit when Ning Cheng saw a bloody mouth open wide. Ning Qing didn't even see what kind of demonic beast it was before crazily wielding the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. He definitely wasn't an opponent for this demonic beast. Facing such a powerful demonic beast, he had no other choice but to escape. The twin wings of the heavenly clouds brought out a faint glow and directly moved Ning Qing away. The moment Ning Qing teleported away, his shadow, which was still in the same place, got swallowed by the giant mouth. Ning Qing, who was still in the air, saw this scene and quickly brought out the starry sky wheel. The sea demon that attacked Ning Qing didn't seem to be good at flying. After seeing Ning Qing leave, it didn't chase after him. Ning Qing, on the other hand, broke out in a cold sweat. He had thought that this place was safe except for a few powerhouses. He didn't expect that a demonic beast would almost kill him. Thinking about how he had soaked in the seawater for a while, he couldn't help but feel some fear. If he hadn't come out of the sea and the demonic beast had attacked, he wouldn't have had time to escape. From the looks of it, he couldn't heal in this place. Even if he wanted to heal, he had to find a safe place. At this moment, Ning Qing had no direction and could only control the starry sky wheel to fly forward. Fortunately, the speed of the starry sky wheel was still overbearing, and there were some powerful sea demons in this area. However, none of the sea demons could keep up with the starry sky wheel. After flying for a few days with the starry sky wheel, the shadows of several flight-type weapons appeared within Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness. Ning Qing quickly stopped and replaced the starry sky wheel with an ordinary high-grade Dao artifact flight-type weapon. Within the 4 grand starry skies, Ning Qing wasn't afraid of others finding out about the starry sky wheel. In this place, once a treasure like the starry sky wheel was recognized, it would no longer belong to him. Ning Qing stopped a flight-type magical weapon, but what made him puzzled was that the cultivation of the cultivator on this flight-type magical weapon was even lower than his own. It looked like he only had the cultivation of life and death realm. This cultivator in the life and death realm could not see Ning Qing's cultivation. Therefore, if he wanted to survive in this place, he would try not to offend anyone. Ning Qing's flight-type magical weapon did not show any malice, and only made an inquiring gesture from the side. Therefore, after being stopped by Ning Qing, he took the initiative to stop. "I wonder what this Dao friend wants?" the life and death cultivator asked in front of Ning Qing. Ning Qing returned the courtesy and spoke, "I encountered a beast tide before, and lost the map of this part of the sea. I wonder if you could carve a jade slip for me?" Even if it was just a question, Ning Qing had to be careful. He could see that this cultivator seemed to be a celestial essence cultivator and hadn't transformed it into a more powerful force. Even so, he didn't want anyone to know that he came from another place. Naturally, the life and death cultivator didn't hesitate to take out a jade slip and throw it to Ning Qing. At the same time, he controlled his flight-type magical weapon and quickly flew away. He didn't ask Ning Qing for any compensation, which made Ning Qing feel a little relieved. If the other party asked him for compensation, he only had permanent essence pills. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness immediately swept into the jade slip. After a few breaths, Ning Qing put down the jade slip. This place belonged to the edge of the Grand Essence Sea, and one could say that it was the most worthless corner of the Grand Essence Sea. Not far from this place, there was a sea city called Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. The jade slip looked simple and didn't have any other introduction. It just showed the way to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Through this jade slip, Ning Qing confirmed that this place was the Grand Essence Realm. The silver-haired woman had told him that the Grand Essence Sea was in the Grand Essence Realm. Moreover, the 9th Prince's father, whom he destroyed, seemed to be a powerhouse in the Grand Essence Sea. Ning Qing then thought of the terrifying sea demons he encountered in the Grand Essence Sea and felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. Those sea demons most likely belonged to the lowest level of existence, yet they almost killed him. How terrifying was the 9th Prince's father, who could dominate the Grand Essence Sea? However, Ning Qing quickly put these thoughts aside. Not to mention whether that 9th Prince Mandarin could return to the Grand Essence Realm. Even if he returned to the Grand Essence Realm, Ning Qing would have to wait until he recovered his corporeal body. The only thing that worried Ning Qing was that Mandarin's father might help him. Once Manjuran's father went to Grand Culmination Starry Sky, it wouldn't be a good thing. He also understood that if Manjuran's father really went to Grand Culmination Starry Sky, even if he stayed there, he wouldn't be able to do anything except wait for death. There were too many threats, so Ning Qing didn't think about it anymore. He controlled the flight-type magical weapon and flew towards the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. After knowing that this was the edge of the Grand Essence Realm, Ning Qing felt even more shocked about the teleportation array in the Thorn-Tooth Lake. It turned out to be a teleportation array that could break through positional planes. No wonder he couldn't arrange it with his current strength. It was equivalent to a child talisman of the Opening Heaven talisman. Ning Qing felt a little regretful at this moment. He hadn't investigated where Liang Yi obtained that array pattern. That array pattern allowed him to activate the teleportation array in a one-way manner. Moreover, the grade of this array pattern was no lower than the Opening Heaven talisman's child talisman. A few days later, Ning Qing stood outside a modeled city. He also saw a few modeled characters above the city, Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Apart from that, this sea city looked too ordinary. Not to mention a city like the Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City, even the Ocean Gambling City, where Ning Qing had just entered the Starry Sky, didn't look like this Spirit Sea City. As soon as Ning Qing walked to the city gate, he felt a much richer essence chi aura compared to the sea. From this, he understood that the essence chi in the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City should be much richer. Cultivators kept coming in and out of the city gate, and Ning Qing could feel the cultivation of these cultivators. The lowest among them was in the Celestial Scryer realm. There were simply too many eternal cultivators here. Moreover, there were also cultivators at the same level as Hong Luan and the Ninth Prince, which made Ning Qing feel slightly relieved. At least in this place, he could still be considered as a powerhouse among powerhouses. The red-haired powerhouse he met in the Grand Essence Sea should have been a coincidence. Looking at the cultivators coming in and out of the city gate, Ning Qing found that most of them took out a jade card. Only a few cultivators took out high-grade starry sky crystals and handed them to the cultivators guarding the city gate. As for permanent essence pills, Ning Qing didn't see anyone take them out. Ning Qing took out 100 high-grade starry sky crystals and handed them to the cultivators guarding the city before following the crowd into the city. The essence chi aura in the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City was much richer, but it was still far from being suitable for cultivation. This city was a little different from the cities Ning Qing had entered before. After entering the city gate, he didn't see a street but a grand public square. Since there were many people in the public square, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness swept out roughly. Apart from the huge makeshift market, the public square also contained a variety of team information. At the edge of this public square, there were two arc-shaped wide roads, which surrounded the public square and extended into the city. Ning Qing walked into a shop in the makeshift market, squeezed in front of the array formation restriction counter and said to the shop assistant, "Give me a Grand Essence Sea Introduction Jade Strip and a Geographical Jade Strip. By the way, do you have any good cultivation method jade strips?" When the shop assistant heard those words, he quickly put aside the cultivator in front of him and came to Ning Qing with a smile. "This friend, what grade of cultivation method jade strip do you want? Are there any requirements for spiritual root attributes? The cultivation method jade strips I have here are definitely better than the ones in other places. If you want to buy cultivation method jade strips, then coming to me is the right choice." Ning Qing naturally didn't want to buy cultivation method jade strips to switch to other cultivation methods. Rather, he wanted to gain some understanding of the cultivation levels in this place. Just like when he first arrived in the Starry Skies, he didn't understand the cultivation levels in the Starry Skies at all. Only after asking Lan Ye did he have a general impression of it. "I don't care about spiritual root attributes. How far can you cultivate the highest grade cultivation method here?" Ning Qing hesitated before asking. Hearing Ning Qing ask about the highest grade cultivation method without caring about spiritual root attributes, the shop assistant's eyes lit up and spoke up with even more politeness. "I have a Dao sculpting cultivation method, the Broken Jade Record. This cultivation method can even help you increase your chances of successfully reaching Dao sculpting." While talking, the shop assistant took out a jade box and 2 jade strips. These 2 jade strips come with you. Don't brag. Who would dare to cultivate the broken jade record? It's a cultivation method that puts you to death first. A disdainful voice came from the crowd, but Ning Cheng heard it clearly. Ning Cheng had heard about Dao sculpting cultivation methods once. Chuan Xinluo had said that he had successfully reached Dao confirming realm, but Ning Ruoqing had ridiculed him for being a Dao sculpting cultivator, or someone who hadn't even reached Dao sculpting realm. Ning Cheng knew that this Dao sculpting cultivation method definitely wasn't the highest grade cultivation method, but he still asked, "How much is this broken jade record?" 110,000 spirit crystals. The shop assistant quickly replied. Was that thing called spirit crystals? Ning Cheng immediately recalled that his celestial river was also a spirit flame. Perhaps this place had something to do with the word spirit. I don't have any spirit crystals. Can I use this instead? Ning Cheng said and took out a starry sky crystal. He still had more than 10 million of these things. In fact, what he really wanted to buy were the 2 jade strips that came with it. When the shop assistant saw the crystal Ning Cheng took out, his expression immediately turned ugly and spoke up in a cold voice. Are you going to use this to buy a cultivation method? Yeah. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment but still nodded. He originally wanted to take out permanent essence pills, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. At least, he didn't see anyone else using permanent essence pills. The shop assistant put away the jade box containing the cultivation method as quickly as possible and spoke to Ning Cheng in a cold voice. Sorry, we don't accept such low-level things. Ha! Bursts of laughter erupted in the store. Someone actually wanted to use low-level crystals to buy a high-level cultivation method. Chapter 844. Give me a jade strip with a map of the Grand Essence Ruins. A deep voice came over, immediately suppressing the laughter in the shop. After this sound, Ning Cheng heard the pa-da-pa footsteps coming into the shop. He was a burly man with messy hair and was dressed in sackcloth. There was a gourd hanging on his waist and an incomparably thick iron rod on his back. One end of the iron rod was a little dark and emitted a strong murderous and bloody aura. It was obvious how many souls had died under this iron rod. What was even stranger was that this person was not wearing shoes. Other people would not make a sound when they walked barefoot, but this person's footsteps were not only loud, but also heavy. Ning Cheng looked at this 2-meter-tall burly man, and immediately thought of Pan Qian. Of course, compared to Pan Qian, this burly man was nothing. Moreover, Ning Cheng couldn't see through this person's cultivation. Moreover, this person seemed to have another kind of power within him, without any celestial essence or spiritual consciousness fluctuations. All right, 100 low-grade divine crystals. This is my shop's latest map of the Grand Essence Ruins. I guarantee that it's more complete than the maps sold elsewhere. Moreover, the price is also the cheapest. The shop assistant seemed to be afraid of this big man and quickly took out a jade strip and handed it to him. Even though it was a deal worth 3 divine crystals, the shop assistant still had a smile on his face. The man nodded, threw a crystal stone on the ground, picked up the jade slip, and walked out with a series of clattering sounds. Ning Cheng saw that this crystal stone looked similar to the crystal stone he had used before. It should be a high-grade crystal stone, which made him realize that a high-grade spirit crystal could be exchanged for 100 low-grade spirit crystals. After the man left, someone in the shop muttered softly, "He's Mo? Did you kill an early-stage eternal martial cultivator with a single slap last time?" Of course it's him. Mo is actually very easy to talk to and doesn't like to cause trouble. He's also very loyal. Last time, that person used his cultivation to bully others and was killed by Mo, someone explained. He just bought a jade strip about the Grand Essence Ruins. Does he want to go to the Grand Essence Ruins? He's a martial cultivator. What's wrong with being a martial cultivator? He wasn't the only martial cultivator going to the Grand Essence Ruins. To go to that kind of place, martial cultivation was not important at all. What was important was luck. If you're unlucky, so what if you're a second-step Dao integration expert? It's also the character for death. Don't joke around. Would a Tao perfection expert go to the Grand Essence ruins? I'm not joking. Such a thing really happened. Ning Cheng did not stay in the shop to listen to the discussions of the other people. Walking out of the shop, he swept his gaze towards the martial cultivator called Mo and followed him. When Ning Cheng saw Mo walk to a corner of the public square, he also quickly walked over. Then he saw Mo take out a pile of divine crystals and put them on a table. The cultivator sitting at the table put away the pile of divine crystals and gave Mo a jade token. Mo grabbed the jade token and walked to the side to sit down. There were already many cultivators sitting around him. Just now, when Mo took out the spirit crystals, Ning Cheng had already counted them from the side. Mo had taken out at least tens of thousands of spirit crystals. After Mo sat down, a few more people came over to pay the divine crystals and sat beside him. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on a huge array formation screen next to the table. When he glanced over the contents of the array formation screen, he immediately came to an understanding in his heart. After paying the spirit crystals, one would have to follow everyone to a teleportation array and then use that teleportation array to reach the Grand Essence ruins or leave the Boundary Essence Sea from there. Ning Cheng had no idea what kind of place the Grand Essence ruins was. Even if he knew, Ning Cheng didn't have any spirit crystals to go there. Not to mention 10,000 spirit crystals, Ning Cheng couldn't even take out a single spirit crystal. After wandering around the public square for a long time and asking a few cultivators, Ning Cheng gradually learned about this place. This place was the edge of the Grand Essence Realm's edge. The cultivators here generally came to the Grand Essence Sea to search for treasures or to hunt demonic beasts. Because the competition here wasn't very fierce, the safety of cultivators here was more guaranteed compared to other places. Therefore, many cultivators with low cultivation liked to come to this place. The real place to find treasures was the Grand Essence Ruins. The Grand Essence Ruins was the most famous ancient ruin in the Grand Essence realm. This place was boundless, and no one knew if the Grand Essence Ruins had an end or where the end was. After entering the Grand Essence Ruins, one's spiritual consciousness would be restricted. But as for what treasures the Grand Essence Ruins contained, Ning Cheng asked a few cultivators, but they could only say things like high-grade spirit artifacts, ancient rings, and the like. As for how to leave the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, Ning Cheng also asked a few cultivators. The answer he got was that there was no directional jade strip to leave the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Even if one wanted to venture into the Grand Essence Sea, one couldn't go too far away from the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Otherwise, one might not be able to find the way back. Once one got lost in the Grand Essence Sea, one could only wait for death. If a cultivator wanted to leave the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, they had to save enough spirit crystals and take a special airship to leave. Ning Cheng sighed. From the looks of it, if he wanted to leave this place, he would have to slowly save up spirit crystals. Most likely, some forces controlled the route out of this place, and one couldn't leave without paying spirit crystals. It was just like when he first arrived at the rootless Black City. Back then, people operated a special line business. From the looks of it, it was a stroke of luck that he met a cultivator and found the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. However, if he wanted to earn spirit crystals, he didn't need to venture into the Grand Essence Sea. He could help people refine weapons here. As long as he set up a stall in the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City's public square, spirit crystals would definitely roll in. Ning Cheng had just set up an artifact crafting stall in a corner of the public square when two cultivators stopped him. "Friend, you should have just arrived here, right? You're not allowed to set up stalls here. It's the first time, but if you find out about it a second time, I'm afraid you'll be taken away." An early-stage life and death cultivator pointed to Ning Cheng's stall and said, "Why?" Ning Cheng asked in doubt. Was there a limit to setting up stalls here? The cultivator looked at Ning Cheng and said with some helplessness, "You should buy a Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City's residential profile first. Forget it, I don't think you have any spirit crystals on you. I'll just give you one." After the cultivator finished, he took out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness casually swept through it and immediately understood what it meant. In the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, one needed qualifications to set up an artifact crafting or alchemy stall. This qualification was issued by the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea Cities Artifact Crafting or Alchemy Guilds. The qualification certificate had a clear division of grades, indicating the grade of artifact crafting qualifications one had. However, to go to such guilds for the artifact crafting or alchemy qualifications, one would need a lot of spirit crystals. I see. Ning Chung put away his artifact crafting stall. He really wanted to sell a space crystal in exchange for spirit crystals. But reason told him that he couldn't do that with his current strength. Ning Cheng. At this moment, a surprised voice sounded from the side. Ning Chung looked up and saw a pretty face. He responded with a slight surprise, Nalan Rushua, why are you here? He saw two men and a woman beside Nalan Rushua. Presumably, the four of them were in the same group. It's really you. Nalan Rushua felt even more surprised after confirming that it was Ning Cheng. She didn't seem to notice Ning Cheng's calm tone. She didn't feel any joy from meeting an old friend in a foreign land. Junior apprentice Sister Rushua, who is this? A brown-robed man standing next to Nalan Rushua asked with a frown. It's an acquaintance. Senior apprentice Brother Tao, Senior apprentice Brother Yu, Senior apprentice Sister Cyan, you can go to the merchant house first. I'll have a few words with Senior apprentice Brother Ning first. Nalan Rushua quickly spoke up, unable to restrain the joy in her eyes. The brown-robed man frowned slightly, but soon smiled and said, Junior apprentice Sister Rushua, don't be so polite. Your friend is also our friend. Why don't we all go to the restaurant and have a seat? Also, invite your friend over. I'll be the host this time. Nalan Rushua saw Ning Chung put away the stall and understood that Ning Cheng didn't have many spirit crystals on him. After hearing this, she quickly looked at Ning Cheng and asked, Senior apprentice Brother Ning Cheng, why don't we go and have a seat together? Senior apprentice Brother Tao Xing, Senior apprentice Brother Yu Cheng, and Senior apprentice Sister Li Xian are all my friends. Why don't you join us in the future? That way, everyone can take care of each other. No need. You guys go ahead. I'll be leaving. Ning Cheng put the things into his ring and turned to leave. Although Nalan Rushua had gone to find him to apologize to him back in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Although he didn't care about the past, he never thought about becoming friends with people like Nalan Rushua. Nalan Rushua only had a late-stage Heaven's Mandate cultivation, while Tao Xing and Yu Cheng were at the middle stage and late-stage Heaven-seeded realm respectively. Even Li Xian was at the early-stage Heaven-seeded realm. To be honest, if Ning Cheng had a cultivation in the Heaven's Mandate realm, he would never team up with 3 cultivators with much higher cultivation than him. Seeing Ning Cheng turn around to leave, Nalan Rushua's eyes flashed with sadness. But she still called out, Senior apprentice Brother Ning, do you know that Senior apprentice Sister Yanji is looking for you? Yanji? Ning Cheng suddenly stopped and asked with a happy expression, Did you see Yanji? Where is she? Nalan Rushua on seeing Ning Cheng change so quickly felt even more sad in her heart. She hesitated for a moment before speaking, I'll tell you about it later, or... Ning Cheng immediately understood that Nalan Rushua wanted to talk to him alone. He was just about to ask Nalan Rushua to leave with him when the brown-robed cultivator named Tao Xing spoke up again. Junior apprentice Sister Rushua, why don't we go to the S&C restaurant together? Nalan Rushua looked at Ning Cheng with some embarrassment. Her eyes clearly showed that she wanted to invite Ning Cheng to go together. Ning Cheng felt a little strange in his heart. He knew a bit about Nalan Rushua's temperament. She didn't like to have anything to do with male cultivators, but he didn't expect her to care about the words of that male cultivator named Tao Xing. Ning Cheng was eager to know Yanji's whereabouts and didn't hesitate. Okay, let's go together. Hearing Ning Cheng agree, Nalan Rushua felt overjoyed. Tao Xing also spoke up to Ning Cheng. Junior apprentice Brother Ning, you don't have to restrain yourself. You'll get used to it after staying here for a long time. Everyone can form a team and take care of each other. Ning Cheng didn't answer the brown-robed cultivator's words. He didn't have much of a good impression of this Tao Xing. It was just an intuition. Chapter 845. Walking into the S&C restaurant, Ning Cheng almost wanted to stay here and cultivate. From the moment he arrived at this place, the surrounding essence qi was very thin. Only when he entered this restaurant did he feel slightly denser primordial qi. The restaurant was overflowing with a fragrant aroma. Ning Cheng looked at the cultivators eating heartily, and once again felt a pang of hunger. Plate after plate of steaming hot and fragrant sea demonic beast meat, as well as some spirit fruits and spirit herbs cooked by various means, made one want to eat a meal just by looking at it. It could be seen that the chefs in this restaurant were all very skilled. Ning Cheng rubbed his nose. He did not know how long it had been since he last went to a restaurant to eat. Thinking of coming to a restaurant to eat, he could not help but think of Tian Mu Wan. If there was anyone he would go to a restaurant with the most, it would definitely be Tian Mu Wan. However, at that time, he did not have a big wallet, so he took Tian Mu Wan out to eat at a small restaurant. Thinking till here, Ning Cheng once again gave a dark sigh. How could a small misunderstanding cause Tian Mu Wan to change so much? Tian Mu Wan, who was willing to accompany him to the tiny restaurant to eat, had also disappeared. As soon as the five of them stepped into the hotel, the waiter of the restaurant welcomed them. Please come in. There are still a few private rooms available. Would you like to? Without waiting for the waiter to finish, Li Xian waved her hand and said, the few of us just want to eat something. We don't need a private room. Seeing that Tao Xing did not raise any objections, Ning Cheng knew that this person did not seem to be a rich person. After the five of them sat down, the waiter brought over the menu. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the menu, he couldn't help but feel shocked in his heart. The prices of the food here were truly high. Each dish cost a dozen or so spirit crystals, while the slightly better ones cost a few hundred spirit crystals. Some even cost thousands or tens of thousands of spirit crystals. Moreover, Ning Cheng found that these were all high-rank spirit crystals. Spirit fried ground eagle tongue, roasted starless flower rabbit paw, stewed phoenix fairy sprout. After Tao Xing ordered more than a dozen dishes, he handed the menu to Nalan Rushue. Junior apprentice sister Rushue, you can also order a few. Nalan Rushue quickly waved her hand. No need. Senior apprentice brother Tao helped me and even invited us to eat here. I feel very grateful in my heart. Besides, I've never been to this place before. I'll just eat whatever I want. Nalan Rushue wasn't lying. Essence C restaurant's prices were just too high. In the past, she and Yen Ji would at most eat in some small restaurants, and would never come to this kind of place. Tao Xing, on seeing Nalan Rushue speak in such a manner, also politely asked Ning Cheng. Seeing that he did not even hand over the menu, Ning Cheng knew that he was just pretending to be polite. No, I don't care much about eating. Ning Cheng flatly refused. Tao Xing's eyes flashed with a trace of unhappiness. In his view, since Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue were friends, then his cultivation would obviously not be too high. But now Ning Cheng did not even address him respectfully, and even spoke in such an ordinary tone. After letting Yu Cheng and Li Xian order a few more dishes, the waiter of the restaurant took the menu away. Ning Cheng had already noticed that the dishes that Tao Xing had ordered were all relatively common. The most expensive dishes only cost a little more than 100 divinity crystals, and all the dishes they ordered added up to less than 1,000 divinity crystals. The waiter served the dishes very quickly. They indeed looked, smelled, and tasted great. Moreover, streams of dense essence energy were released. Even without eating it, one could tell that these things could not only fill one's stomach, but also increase one's cultivation. Senior apprentice brother Ning, you eat. Nalan Rushue remembered to call out to Ning Cheng. Tao Xing also spoke up with a smile. That's right, junior apprentice brother Ning does not need to be so polite. You've never eaten here before, right? It was very difficult for loose cultivators to come here for a meal. Ordinary cultivators simply could not afford the prices here. This plate of roasted starless flower rabbit paw is the most expensive. Junior martial sister Rushue and junior martial sister Shuyan are women, so they should eat more. We can eat something else. Ning Cheng was just about to pick up a piece of roasted starless flower rabbit paw, but when he heard Tao Xing's words, he immediately felt unhappy in his heart. It was as if he was living off a woman. She clearly saw that he was about to make a move on the roasted starless flower rabbit. Yet she still said such meaningless words. "Waiter, come over here." Ning Cheng put down the fork in his hand and called the waiter over. "Is there anything else you need?" The waiter came very quickly. Ning Cheng took out a pot of wine and handed it to the waiter before saying, "Go and show your boss how many spirit crystals this pot can be exchanged for." The waiter quickly picked up the pot of wine and left. Seeing Ning Cheng not eating, Nalan Rushue felt a little embarrassed. She sat there, not knowing if she should eat or not. "Junior Marshal Sister Rushue, don't stand on ceremony. Call your friend to eat." Tao Xing and the others had already started. After a while, the waiter came over with a middle-aged male cultivator. "This Tao friend, is that pot of wine yours?" The middle-aged male cultivator came up to Ning Cheng and spoke with cupped fists, speaking in a very polite tone. Ning Cheng nodded. "Yes, it's mine. My friend gave me this pot of wine. I've kept it for many years, but I've never been willing to drink it. Today, I happened to fancy a few dishes in your restaurant and wanted to taste them, so I took it out." Hearing Ning Cheng's words, the middle-aged male cultivator's face showed some disappointment. Apparently, Ning Cheng meant that he only had this pot. But he still took out a storage bag and handed it to Ning Cheng. "This is 10,000 high-rank spirit crystals. We can also give you 5 dishes as long as they don't exceed 10,000 spirit crystals." Ning Cheng looked at this male cultivator and understood that he had no intention of returning the pot of none to depend on wine. But since Ning Cheng had already taken it out, he had no intention of taking it back. This was a genuine top-grade none to depend on wine, and he still had more than half a barrel in his ring. "Of course, help me add a few more dishes. Earth Fire Stewed Golden Oxtail, Spirit Spring Shaving Rain Pomegranate." Ning Cheng ordered 5 dishes in one go, and even the cheapest one cost more than 1,000 spirit crystals. These 5 dishes cost nearly 10,000 spirit crystals. Looking at Tao Xing's dumbfounded look, Nalan Rushue pursed her lips. Ning Cheng was still the same Ning Cheng. Even after so many years, his character hadn't changed at all. The 5 dishes were quickly served, and Ning Cheng grabbed the fork. "You can eat now." Ning Cheng put a piece of Spirit Spring Shaving Rain Pomegranate into his mouth, and the rich spirit cheese seeped in. Ning Cheng sighed while refining it. No wonder so many people were willing to come here to eat. Not only did it fill his stomach, but it also increased his cultivation. After this meal, he could finally break through to the middle stage eternal realm. When Tao Xing saw Ning Cheng serving several dishes that were more than 10 times the price of his, he didn't continue to look for trouble. Although he felt unhappy about it, he didn't say anything about which dishes couldn't be eaten. Although the few of them wanted to taste the dishes that cost more than 1,000 spirit crystals, Ning Cheng didn't even put a fork on the dishes ordered by Tao Xing's trio. The 3 of them also felt embarrassed to eat Ning Cheng's dishes. Nalan Rushue kept her head down and only ate a few mouthfuls of Spirit Spring Shaving Rain Pomegranate. She didn't touch the other plates at all. Tao Xing wanted to continue eating with Nalan Rushue, but unfortunately, the quality of the dishes he ordered was much worse than Ning Cheng's. Finally, after finishing the meal, Tao Xing breathed in a sigh of relief. After eating these things, Ning Cheng felt that he was about to break through the early stage eternal realm and advance to the middle stage eternal realm. He decided to find a place to break through his cultivation immediately after asking Nalan Rushue. "Junior apprentice brother Ning, what kind of wine was that? It's actually worth 20,000 spirit crystals." After the waiter took away the things, the late-stage heaven-seated Yu Chung finally couldn't help but ask. "It was a gift from a friend. I didn't expect it to be so valuable." After Ning Cheng gave an irrelevant answer, he stood up and looked at Nalan Rushue. Without waiting for Nalan Rushue to stand up, Tao Xing quickly said, "Junior apprentice brother Ning, we're going to form a team to go to Scarlet Branch Island in 3 days. I heard that someone found wood origin crystals there." Ning Cheng initially had no interest in forming a team with these people, but when he heard about wood origin crystals, he immediately felt tempted. Wood origin crystals were a good thing for him. Moreover, the best treasure for the advancement of the underworld Crow Ghost Rattan was wood origin crystals. Nalan Rushue thought that Ning Cheng would definitely refuse, but she heard Ning Cheng reply, "Okay, then in 3 days, I'll form a team with you to go to Scarlet Branch Island. I'll take my leave first. Senior Apprentice Brother Tao, Senior Apprentice Brother Yu, Senior Apprentice Sister Cyan, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning and I are going out to take care of some things. I'll come to you later. When Nalan Rushue saw Ning Qing go out, she quickly stood up and said a few words before following Ning Qing out of the S&C restaurant. Tao Xing looked at Ning Cheng's back and said thoughtfully, "This person can take out 20,000 spirit crystals worth of wine and squander it like this. It looks like he's not simple." Yu Qing showed a slight smile. Whether he's simple or not, we'll know in a few days. Nalan Rushue took Ning Qing around the public square and entered the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. The two of them walked for more than 2 hours before they arrived at a simple and crude abode. This is where Senior Apprentice Sister Yanji and I lived. After Senior Apprentice Sister Yanji left, I lived here alone. Nalan Rushue led Ning Qing to one of the caves and took out a jade card to open the cave's defensive restrictions. After walking through the cave's restrictions, Ning Qing understood why Nalan Rushue wanted to form a team with others. The spirit qi in this place was much scarcer than the Boundary Essence restaurant. Cultivating in this place was only slightly better than cultivating on the street. The biggest use of this place wasn't for cultivation but for providing a place to live. The cave couldn't be any simpler. The entrance to the cave only had an open space with a radius of less than 3 feet, with a few strands of weeds growing sparsely in the open space. Walking into the cave, they found only 2 rooms inside. After taking Ning Qing to her room and sitting down, Nalan Rushue said, "After Yanji and I came here from the Thorn-Tooth Lake's teleportation array, we have been cultivating here." Wait. Ning Qing interrupted Nalan Rushue. "You said that you and Yanji came from the teleportation array under the Thorn-Tooth Lake?" When Nalan Rushue heard Ning Qing's words, she understood that Ning Qing also knew about the teleportation array. She quickly told him everything that had happened. She talked about it until a year ago, when Yanji broke through the shackles of Heaven's Mandate Realm and advanced to the Heaven-seated realm. After that, she went to the Grand Essence Ruins. After listening to Nalan Rushue's words, Ning Qing frowned and asked, "Since Yanji advanced to the Heaven-seated realm, why didn't she go back from the original teleportation array? Instead, she went to the Grand Essence Ruins?" Chapter 846. We went to that teleportation array, but after we dismantled some of the devices, we couldn't reinstall them. Even if we forcibly installed them, we wouldn't be able to activate the teleportation array. Nalan Rushue spoke in a low voice. Ning Qing shook his head secretly. The level of that teleportation array was ridiculously high. Without that heaven-defying array pattern, even he couldn't activate the Thorn-Tooth Lake's teleportation array in one direction. In fact, even after he used that array pattern, the teleportation array's one-way activation wasn't perfect. He had been forcefully teleported here. If it had been someone else, they might have been torn apart during the spatial shift. But now that Yanji dismantled the teleportation array, not to mention Yanji and Nalan Rushue, even he couldn't reinstall it with his current proficiency in array formations. Dismantling it was equivalent to destroying the spatial law chains constructed by the teleportation array. Without reaching a certain level of proficiency in the Tao of arrays, one wouldn't be able to install it. Unless Yanji dismantled a place that had nothing to do with the spatial law chains, which was obviously impossible. If Yanji dismantled a place that had nothing to do with the spatial law chains, then she and Nalan Rushue would have already teleported away. When we couldn't restore the teleportation array, Senior Apprentice Sister Yanji realized that our proficiency in the Tao of arrays was too low. We desperately tried to learn the Tao of arrays, but how could the Tao of arrays be so easy to learn? Moreover, high-grade teleportation arrays also involve the laws of space. To learn more advanced laws, Senior Apprentice Sister Yanji decided to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. I heard that the Grand Essence Ruins contains countless spirit techniques, laws, and treasures. It's the best place for cultivation. Nalan Rushue sighed. "Why didn't you go?" When Ning Qing heard Yanji's reason for going to the Grand Essence Ruins, he understood that this was her personality. Yanji was the kind of stubborn person who liked to rely on herself for everything. Nalan Rushue lowered her head. It takes nearly 100,000 spirit crystals to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. Yenji and I have been adventuring around here for so many years and barely managed to save 200,000 spirit crystals. It was only by chance that we came across a very expensive divine grass called Azura Heavenly Ginseng. Ning Cheng understood that Yenji's travel expenses to the Grand Essence Ruins came from her and Nalan Rushua. He asked with some doubt, "I saw someone waiting at the public square at the entrance of the Boundary Essence City waiting for the airship to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. It seems that it only costs about 10,000 spirit crystals." Nalan Rushua shook her head and said, "That airship doesn't go directly to the Grand Essence Ruins but to a teleportation array cluster." After getting off the airship, the cultivators would have to use the teleportation array to teleport to the Grand Essence Ruins or somewhere else. The price to reach the Grand Essence Ruins is around 80,000 high-grade spirit crystals. If you don't have that many spirit crystals, you'll end up stuck in that place. After pausing for a while, Nalan Rushua continued, "My cultivation is a bit low, not even at the heaven-seated realm. As such, staying here is a bit safer. In the past, I teamed up with some people to search for resources near the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. It's just that the speed of obtaining spirit crystals was too slow. Half a month ago, when my teammates and I were hunting sea monsters, Senior Brother Tao and the other two passed by and helped us once. After returning to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, Senior Apprentice Brother Tao Xing and the others invited me to join their team. I took into account the fact that they had to go to a faraway place and that they could get a bigger share, so I agreed. We were going to go to sea in a few days, but we happened to meet you." When Ning Cheng heard Nalan Rushua's words, he knew that Nalan Rushua had truly changed a lot. If it were before, even if someone helped her, she would at most thank them. She would never agree to team up with others. Seeing Ning Cheng frowning slightly and not speaking for a long time, Nalan Rushua called out with some uneasiness, "Senior Apprentice Brother Ning." Ning Cheng thought about it and asked, "Nalan, you only have Heaven's Mandate Realm cultivation. Why do you want to team up with 3 heaven-seated experts?" Hearing Ning Cheng call her Nalan, Nalan Rushua felt a little sad. But after hearing Ning Cheng's words, she quickly raised her head and asked in doubt, "Senior Apprentice Brother Tao Xing and the other 2 are all in Heaven's Mandate Realm. Why do you say that they are in the heaven-seated realm?" "All in the Heaven's Mandate Realm?" Ning Cheng froze for a moment before understanding. He was an eternal expert. Therefore, the cultivation of Tao Xing and the other 2 naturally couldn't be a secret in his eyes. However, Nalan Rushua only had Heaven's Mandate Realm cultivation. With 3 heaven-seated experts with cultivation far higher than her, it would be a simple matter for them to hide their cultivation in front of her. It was the same reason why Tao Xing and the other 2 couldn't see through his cultivation. Ning Cheng spoke up with a straight face, "I'm not wrong. Tao Xing, Yu Cheng and Li Xian all have heaven-seated cultivation. Any one of them could kill you in an instant." Nalan Rushua's expression changed drastically. After a while, she bowed to Ning Cheng and said, "Many thanks, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning. I understand what's going on. Why would 3 heaven-seated cultivators want to team up with her, a cultivator in Heaven's Mandate Realm?" Teaming up with a Heaven's Mandate Realm cultivator to search for treasures. However, treasure hunting would always be dangerous. Moreover, if there was danger, the stronger the teammates, the better. Nalan Rushua was just a cultivator in Heaven's Mandate Realm. If she teamed up with a cultivator in the heaven-seated realm, what help could she provide? Since she couldn't help her teammates, there must be some other reason for them to team up with her. "Nalan." Ning Cheng saw Nalan Rushua's lonely expression and wanted to comfort her. But Nalan Rushua suddenly interrupted Ning Cheng's words, "Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, Nalan sounds awkward. You can also call me Rushua. I was born in a big sect since childhood. Coupled with my good aptitude, I developed a bad arrogance. Over the years, I've come to understand this truth. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning looks down on me, I also know. Junior Apprentice Sister Rushua, do you have the parts for the teleportation array with you?" Ning Cheng heard Nalan's grievances and quickly changed the topic. He truly didn't look down on Nalan Rushua. He just didn't want to become friends with people like Nalan. If he hadn't happened to have a talisman, Nalan Rushua's master would have already crippled him. Even when he fell into the law's way, Nalan Rushue still used him behind the scenes. Even if Ning Qing didn't care about such things, he didn't want to have too much to do with people like Nalan Rushue. If not for Nalan Rushue's current state, Ning Qing wouldn't have talked to her even if he wanted to know Yanji's whereabouts. Nalan Rushue quickly took out a storage bag and handed it to Ning Qing. There's also a positional jade strip inside, which leads to the place where the teleportation array was arranged. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness fell on the storage bag. He was an array Dao master, so after his spiritual consciousness swept through the teleportation array accessories, he understood that these were indeed the main parts. After experiencing the teleportation array in Thorn-Tooth Lake, Ning Qing understood that without the help of high-level array patterns, he couldn't restore these things. Seeing that Ning Qing wanted to return the things to her, Nalan Rushue quickly spoke up, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, I'll leave these things with you. I'm not very proficient in array formations." Ning Qing didn't refuse. With these things, it would be more convenient for him to go back in the future. Although he couldn't install these teleportation array parts now, it didn't mean that he couldn't install them in the future. Seeing Ning Qing put away the teleportation array accessories, Nalan Rushue's mood also improved a bit. "Senior apprentice brother Ning, Tao Xing and the others want to find us to go to Scarlet Branch Island in 3 days. Let's find a way to not go with them." "Does Scarlet Branch Island really have wood origin crystals?" Ning Qing asked. Nalan Rushue nodded. "Many people know about it. But there are very few cultivators who can find wood origin crystals on Scarlet Branch Island." "Then let's go." "Why not?" Ning Qing said with certainty. As long as there were wood origin crystals, he would naturally go there. In his eyes, 3 heaven-seated cultivators were nothing but ants. Nalan Rushue looked at Ning Qing in doubt. Knowing that Tao Xing and the other 2 were heaven-seated powerhouses, why would he team up with them? Did Ning Qing also advance to the heaven-seated realm? But it was very likely. Ning Qing's talent wasn't any weaker than Yanji's. Since Yanji advanced to the heaven-seated realm, why couldn't Ning Qing advance to the heaven-seated realm? Ning Qing didn't explain the reason and instead asked, "Junior apprentice Sister Rushue, I know that the Grand Essence Realm is a higher-level positional plane compared to our 4 grand starry skies. Do you know what the highest level of cultivation is here?" After asking, Ning Qing looked at Nalan Rushue with a slightly nervous expression. After seeing that red-haired powerhouse in the Grand Essence Sea, he understood that his strength wasn't worth mentioning in this place. Nalan Rushue spoke up cautiously, "I used to think that cultivating to the full circle of the Eternal Realm was the highest level. But after coming here, I realized that the full circle of the Eternal Realm hasn't opened the real door to cultivation." Ning Qing had already prepared himself for this. But after hearing these words, he still felt a little disappointed. He had been cultivating for so long, but he still hadn't opened the door. Nalan Rushue took in a deep breath. "I heard that in the Grand Essence Realm, only the cultivators who have started to reach Dao Confirming can barely be considered as powerhouses." "Dao Confirming? Are you talking about Dao Sculpting powerhouses?" Ning Qing asked in a deep voice. Nalan Rushue shook her head. "No, Dao Sculpting is just the first step to reaching Dao Confirming. It is said that there are 3 steps to reaching Dao Confirming." "Which 3 steps?" Ning Qing asked with some eagerness. Nalan Rushue felt Ning Qing's truthfulness. He was no longer a figure she couldn't see. Wasn't she just as eager to learn about the 3 steps to reaching Dao Confirming? The first step to reaching Dao Confirming is Dao Sculpting, Dao Birth, Dao Transformation. Without waiting for Nalan Rushue to finish speaking, Ning Qing interrupted her again. "So Dao Sculpting is just an initial realm in the first step to reaching Dao Confirming." Nalan Rushue nodded. "Yes, a Dao Birth powerhouse once came to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, and I saw him from afar." "What about the second step?" When Ning Qing heard about the 3 steps to reaching Dao Confirming, his heart grew hotter and hotter. He had the mysterious yellow bead, and one day he would reach the peak of the 3rd step. "I heard that after transforming Dao into essence, one can take the second step. The second step to reaching Tao confirming is Tao essence, primordial chaos, Tao integration. When Ning Cheng heard this, he suddenly recalled the words he heard in the shop before. Someone said that a Tao integration powerhouse had also gone to the Grand Essence ruins. If even a Tao integration powerhouse was only at the second step, then how strong would a third step powerhouse be? Seeing Ning Cheng's eager gaze, Nailan Rushue's heart trembled. But soon she sobered up. Ning Cheng's gaze wasn't for her, but for the third step Tao confirming. Chapter 847. Seeing Nailan Rushue not speaking for a long time, Ning Cheng couldn't help but ask again, Junior apprentice Sister Rushue, what is the third step of Tao confirming? Nailan Rushue calmed herself down and tried to ease her tone before speaking. I've heard two theories. One is that there is no third step. The other is that the Grand Essence Realm's laws are incomplete, and the strongest cultivator can only reach Tao unification. Therefore, no one knows the specific realm of the third step of Tao confirming. Ning Cheng stood up. I see. Thank you for telling me this. It looks like we're really ants. Ning Cheng didn't know which step of Tao confirming that red-haired cultivator had reached, but he felt sure that he couldn't survive a single move from that fellow. Senior apprentice Brother Ning, most Tao confirming powerhouses don't come out. Moreover, the places where they lived were the most stable places in the Grand Essence Realm. Moreover, no powerhouses come to a corner like the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Moreover, fighting isn't allowed in the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. If we stay here and go into seclusion, we'll be equally safe. That Tao Xing wouldn't dare to find us. Nailan Rushue saw Ning Cheng stand up and thought that Ning Cheng wanted to leave. Stay here and go into seclusion? Even if Tao Xing didn't come, the spirit chi here was too thin. What was the use of staying here and going into seclusion? How long have you been at the full circle of Heaven's Mandate Realm? Ning Cheng suddenly asked. Hearing Ning Cheng ask about her cultivation, Nailan Rushue's face flushed a little. Apparently, she was about to advance to the heaven-seated realm, which made her a little excited. It's been more than a year. I've been saving up spirit crystals. As long as I save up 100,000 spirit crystals, I can buy medicinal pills to advance to the heaven-seated realm. Once I advance to the heaven-seated realm, I'll have more places to go out to see, and I can save up 100,000 spirit crystals faster. Is it easy to advance to the heaven-seated realm here? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. He remembered that in Grand Culmination Starry Sky, in accordance heavenly pill wasn't cheap. Nailan Rushue nodded. This place is better than the place we came from. You can buy any medicinal pill here, as long as you have enough spirit crystals. Last time, Senior Apprentice Sister Yenji and I found an Azura Heavenly Ginseng and sold it for 160,000 spirit crystals. I helped Senior Apprentice Sister Yenji buy an accordance heavenly pill. I see. Let's go out now. Ning Cheng decided to help Rushue advance to the heaven. Nailan Rushue had absolute trust in Ning Cheng, but she knew that Ning Cheng should have just arrived here, and was certainly not very familiar with this place. Let's find a place for you to advance to the Sky Immortal Realm. After Ning Cheng left the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City with Nailan Rushue, he immediately flew towards the depths of the Grand Essence Sea. It wasn't until thousands of miles away from the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City that he stopped on a reef island. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, are we here to advance to the heaven-seated realm? Nailan Rushue looked at Ning Cheng in doubt. Ning Cheng had said that he would wait for her to advance to the heaven-seated realm. Ning Cheng took out a jade bottle and handed it to Nailan Rushue. Yes, these are 2 accordance heavenly pills. I'll arrange a spiritual gathering array for you now. In a while, you can advance to the heaven-seated realm here. Just in case, Ning Cheng deliberately gave 2 accordance heavenly pills to Nailan Rushue. To him, the accordance heavenly pill was worthless. After Nailan Rushue advanced to the heaven-seated realm, he would take out a bottle of accordance heavenly pills to sell. After collecting enough spirit crystals to go to the Grand Essence Ruins, he would then head to the Grand Essence Ruins. Nailan Rushue took the jade card with trembling hands. When her spiritual consciousness swept inside, she immediately saw 2 accordance heavenly pills. Not only were they accordance heavenly pills, but they were also top quality. Seeing Ning Qing arranging the teleportation array, Nalan Rushue didn't ask Ning Qing anything. From the moment she learned a little about Ning Qing, she understood that Ning Qing seemed to be a powerhouse no matter where he went. When she and a group of geniuses first arrived at the Tian continent, she heard about Ning Qing's godly might in the Tian continent. Later, he even became the sect master of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, one of the top 10 sects of the Tian continent. Now, Ning Qing gave her 2 top-quality accordance heavenly pills. Although it was incredible for most people, it might be something ordinary for Ning Qing. Nalan Rushue had already reached the full circle of the Heaven's Mandate realm for a long time. She just lacked the resources to advance. But now, with the help of the spiritual gathering array arranged by Ning Qing using permanent essence pills and the accordance heavenly pills, she quickly attracted the Thunder Tribulation. Ning Qing noticed that Nalan Rushue's heaven-seated Thunder Tribulation was much weaker compared to his heaven-seated Thunder Tribulation. But even so, after 5 waves of Thunder Tribulation arcs, Nalan Rushue's robes still fell apart. Ning Qing didn't continue to watch Nalan Rushue surmount the tribulation. In this situation, Nalan Rushue should be able to safely cross the heaven-seated realm Thunder Tribulation. Nalan Rushue had never experienced such a carefree cultivation. Even when she was in the Thoughtless Academy, she didn't feel this carefree. Endless permanent essence pills essence chi gathered around her and quickly absorbed it. When she felt the celestial essence power in her body crazily overlay, and her spiritual consciousness expanded endlessly, she knew that she had successfully advanced to the heaven-seated realm. When the Thunder Tribulation dissipated, Nalan Rushue quickly cleaned herself and put on a clean set of clothes. Only then did she have time to check what Ning Qing was doing. Seeing Ning Qing in secluded cultivation in a temporary cave on the side, Nalan Rushue didn't disturb him and continued to consolidate her cultivation. There were too many permanent essence pills here, which made it the best place to consolidate her cultivation. When Nalan Rushue finished her tribulation and advanced to the heaven-seated realm, Ning Qing knew about it. However, Ning Qing didn't come out. He was already at the full circle of early-stage eternal realm. But after the meal at the S&C restaurant, he felt that he was about to break through to the middle-stage eternal realm. Now that he had 10,000 spirit crystals on him, coupled with the spiritual gathering array arranged by permanent essence pills, Ning Qing's advancement to the middle-stage eternal realm was almost a foregone conclusion. Feeling the surging celestial essence and his sea of consciousness, which had grown to another level, Ning Qing felt very satisfied. Ning Qing felt very satisfied in his heart. The higher one's cultivation went, even if it was just a small advancement, it would make a huge difference. Moreover, his celestial essence had yet to transform into spirit essence. Once it transformed, his cultivation would at least double. Ning Qing didn't plan to transform into spirit essence right now. He only had a few thousand spirit crystals on him, which definitely wouldn't be enough. His cultivation path was that of a glutton, and he would need a lot of spirit crystals to transform into spirit essence in the future. Therefore, it would be best to prepare all the cultivation resources and then transform them in one go. Seeing Ning Qing come out and put away the cave's weapon, Nalan Rushue quickly stood up. Congratulations on successfully advancing to the heaven-seated realm. Ning Qing saw Nalan Rushue coming over and spoke with a smile. Nalan Rushue didn't ask about Ning Qing's cultivation. She felt sure that Ning Qing's cultivation far surpassed hers. Many thanks, senior apprentice brother Ning. Otherwise, even if I wanted to advance to the heaven-seated realm, I wouldn't have done it this quickly. Nalan Rushue knew that it was all thanks to Ning Qing that she could advance to the heaven-seated realm. You can put away the permanent essence pills here. Keep them for cultivation in the future. We've been here for 3 days, and Tao Xing and the others must be a little impatient. Ning Qing nodded and said. Nalan Rushue's aptitude truly went without saying. Maybe his current cultivation aptitude was better than Nalan's, but it was because of the mysterious yellow beads scouring his spiritual root. Nalan Rushue, on the other hand, had innately powerful aptitude. Nalan Rushue didn't argue. She had just advanced to the heaven-seated realm and urgently needed permanent essence pills to stabilize her cultivation. Ning Qing had used up some of the permanent essence pills to arrange the spiritual gathering array, but most of them were still here. Altogether, there were nearly 10 million of them. With so many permanent essence pills, it was more than enough for her to use for the time being. By the way, are the cultivators cultivating in this place all using spirit essence? Ning Qing thought about the matter of spirit essence transformation and asked casually. Nalan Rushue froze for a moment before shaking her head and saying, "No, I heard that only cultivators who have begun to reach the Tao-confirming realm can slowly transform their celestial essence into spirit essence. Could it be transformed only after reaching the Tao-confirming realm?" Ning Qing felt puzzled. If he had enough spirit crystals, he felt sure that he could transform his spirit essence now. And he was still far away from proving his Tao. Let's go. Let's head back to Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City first. Ning Qing knew that Nalan Rushue wouldn't know about his problems. Therefore, he decided to leave these things for later. Ning Qing and Nalan Rushue had just arrived at the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City when they saw the anxious Tao Xing and the others. Tao Xing was also the first to see Ning Qing and Nalan Rushue. The anxiety on his face instantly disappeared as he greeted them with an eager smile. "Junior apprentice Sister Rushue, Junior apprentice Brother Ning, I was anxious to find you. Are we going to the Scarlet Branch Island?" Ning Qing asked with a smile on his face. "Yes, let's go now. There are a lot of cultivators going to Scarlet Branch Island these days, so we can't fall behind." Tao Xing rubbed his hands together. It seemed that as long as he went there, Scarlet Branch Island would be filled with wood origin crystals. Ning Qing nodded. "Then let's go." Seeing that Ning Qing did not have any objections, Tao Xing was naturally even happier. He took the initiative to bring out an airship, invited everyone to board the airship, and quickly rushed out of Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. The Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City was built on an island, somewhat similar to the Mirage Gazing Island. However, compared to the Mirage Gazing Island, the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City was simply a continent. From the moment she saw Tao Xing and the others, Nalan Rushue had not spoken again. After she advanced to the heaven-seated realm, she could see that Tao Xing and the other two were really heaven-seated cultivators. "Hey, Junior Sister Rushue, have you advanced to the heaven-seated realm?" After the airship flew out of Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, Yuqing finally noticed that Nalan Rushue's cultivation had already reached the early-stage heaven-seated realm. Nalan Rushue smiled reluctantly. "Yeah, I didn't expect Senior Apprentice Brother Yuqing, Senior Apprentice Brother Tao Xing, and Senior Apprentice Sister Xian to already reach the heaven-seated realm." Tao Xing replied awkwardly, Yes, we were afraid that you would feel pressured, so we didn't tell you the specific cultivation level. Now everyone is at the sky realm." Speaking till here, Tao Xing seemed to have thought of something as he subconsciously looked at Ning Qing. Nalan Rushue had always been at the late-stage Heaven's Mandate realm, so how could she advance to the heaven-seated realm as soon as she saw Ning Qing? Could it be that this Ning Qing's cultivation was higher than them, but they could not see through it? At the thought that Ning Qing's cultivation was higher than theirs, Tao Xing's heart started to beat like a drum. He really couldn't determine Ning Qing's cultivation. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning must also be in the heaven-seated realm, right? Li Xian apparently had the same thoughts as Tao Xing and even changed the way she addressed Ning Qing to Senior Apprentice Brother. Ning Qing chuckled, "I'm not in the heaven-seated realm." Hearing Ning Qing say that he wasn't in the heaven-seated realm, Tao Xing and the other two finally felt relieved. Although they did not fear Ning Qing if he was in the heaven-seated realm, it would still make things a lot more troublesome. Chapter 848. The grade of Tao Xing's flying ship was not bad, it was even a semi-extreme grade Tao artifact. When Ning Qing boarded the airship, he immediately stayed in the cabin and did not come out again. It seemed as if he did not care about where the airship was going. Nalan Rushue advanced to the heaven-seated realm, causing her strength to soar. However, in the face of Tao Xing and the other two, whose cultivation base was higher than hers, Her heart was still beating like a drum. But as soon as she thought of Ning Cheng, she calmed down. Ning Cheng was very astute, moreover Tao Xing and the other two had higher cultivations compared to her, but it was Ning Cheng who proposed it. It was impossible for him to not think of the dangers involved. Therefore, while Ning Cheng went into seclusion in his cabin, she also stayed in her cabin to stabilize her cultivation. Since Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue did not come out to ask, Tao Xing and the others naturally would not take the initiative to explain to Ning Cheng. That Ning Cheng is a bit strange. Don't look at him saying that he isn't in the heaven-seated realm. I'm sure that his cultivation is no worse than Brother Tao's. On the deck of the spaceship, Yucheng scanned the cabin and said solemnly to Tao Xing and Li Xian beside him. Tao Xing gave a cold smile. Since Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue are friends, then presumably his cultivation would not be much higher than Nalan Rushue's. Even if he lied, he is still a heaven-seated cultivator. The three of us do not need to fear him. As long as Nalan Rushue opens the array formation, wouldn't the three of us be able to beat him? If we plot against him again, I don't believe he's that strong. Brother Yu doesn't need to worry about him at all. Yu Cheng and Li Xian also nodded. Tao Xing was right. Even if Ning Cheng was a late-stage heaven-seated cultivator, the three of them didn't need to feel afraid. As for Ning Cheng being a life-and-death cultivator, they did not even think about it. Was it that easy to enter the life and death realm? Not to mention that Ning Cheng didn't even have spirit crystals on him. He even had to exchange a pot of top-grade wine for some spirit crystals. Even if Ning Cheng had spirit crystals, with Ning Cheng's young age he definitely wouldn't be a cultivator in the life and death realm. Li Xian sighed. If I had known, we would have gotten someone else. Yu Cheng said in a deep voice, it's not realistic to change people. We've been looking for a virgin with water spiritual roots for 2 years. Nalan Rushue's variant pure ice spiritual root was much better than her water spiritual root. Moreover, she was still a virgin. If those big sects in the Grand Essence realm saw someone like her, they would definitely take her in as a disciple. Tao Xing snorted. He was just about to say that the female cultivators nowadays simply didn't have any self-respect. He couldn't even find a single virgin. However, when he thought that Li Xian was not a virgin, he forcefully swallowed his words. The flying ship sped across the sea. Because it was traveling along the fringes, it did not encounter any powerful sea demons. It wasn't until half a month later that Nalan Rushue couldn't bear it anymore. She walked up to the deck and asked, Senior Apprentice Sister Xian, I feel that this position doesn't seem to be in the direction of Scarlet Branch Island. Moreover, Scarlet Branch Island isn't that far away. Not waiting for Li Xian to answer, Tao Xing came over and spoke up, Junior Apprentice Sister Rushue, I can tell you the truth now. In fact, we are not going to Scarlet Branch Island, but to another island. There is definitely a wood origin crystal there. The only reason I told you about Scarlet Branch Island was because I was afraid that too many people would spread it. Junior Sister Rushue, don't worry. When the time comes, we will split the things we get into for, 1 for each of us. Nalan Rushue nodded. I know, I'll go see Senior Apprentice Brother Ning. She knew that if Ning Cheng hadn't suddenly appeared in Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, she would have ended up being sold. She would have had to help those people collect crystals. Nalan Rushue stood outside Ning Cheng's door for a while but didn't disturb Ning Cheng. Instead, she returned to her room. A few more days passed, and the flying ship shuddered before stopping on a huge reef island. Junior Apprentice Brother Ning, compared to you, the few of us are much lazier. Seeing Ning Cheng come out, Tao Xing laughed. Ning Cheng didn't answer Tao Xing's words. Instead, he swept out with his spiritual consciousness. Not only was this reef island lacking in spiritual qi, but it didn't even have a single blade of grass. Ning Cheng found it hard to believe that there were wood origin crystals here. Senior Apprentice Brother Tao, the heaven and earth essence qi here seems to be very scarce. How can there be wood origin crystals here? Nalan Rushue asked. Fortunately, the wood origin crystals are well hidden. Otherwise, people would have found them a long time ago. In fact, when the few of us first arrived here, we had the same idea as you. Follow me first, and you'll know when we reach the place. After Tao Xing finished, he put away his flight-type weapon and walked into the depths of the reef island. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the reef island several times but couldn't find any abnormalities. He couldn't understand why Tao Xing brought Nalan Rushua here. Since he couldn't understand it, he could only follow Tao Xing's trio. After an incense stick worth of time, Tao Xing stopped at a reef crevice. This kind of reef crevice was common on any reef island, and it didn't look like much at all. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out just now, he had also swept through this place and found nothing unusual. However, Tao Xing pointed to this reef crevice and said, "It's here. Just go in." After saying that, Tao Xing took the lead and went in, followed by Yu Cheng and Li Xian. Ning Cheng turned back to Nalan Rushua and said, "Follow me closely." After that, Ning Cheng also went in. After entering the reef crevice, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness suddenly opened up. He could see everything that he couldn't see from the outside. A neat stone road paved all the way to the depths, and his spiritual consciousness couldn't even sweep to the bottom. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. What a powerful concealment array. Even with his spiritual consciousness's strong penetrative power, he had to drill into the reef crevice to see what was inside. Moreover, after coming in, his spiritual consciousness also felt restricted to a certain range. Nalan Rushua also saw the things around her and followed Ning Cheng with some nervousness. Half an hour later, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness finally opened up. A huge defensive array appeared in front of him, but what surprised Ning Cheng was that there were people below. Two middle-stage eternal cultivators stood in front of this defensive array, and a naked female cultivator lay on top of the defensive array. This female cultivator had died a long time ago, and her entire body was pale. Moreover, blood still flowed over the defensive array. "Huh, a few more ants?" The eternal cultivator wearing the strange hat also saw Ning Cheng's group of 5. Tao Xing, Yu Cheng and the others also saw people here, and their faces immediately turned pale. Judging from the pressure coming from the two people below, Ning Cheng understood that they were eternal cultivators. "How did you know about this place?" Tao Xing asked with a dry voice. The eternal cultivator wearing the strange hat glanced at Tao Xing with a cold gaze before his eyes fell on Nalan Rushua behind Ning Cheng. Then he laughed and said to the other short cultivator next to him, "Brother Mu, this really takes a lot of effort. The woman we found for the sacrificial array has poor spiritual roots. Even after the sacrificial array, she still needs a little bit more to open the defensive array. But now, a few ants took the initiative to send such a beautiful woman to help us with the sacrificial array." The short eternal cultivator also saw Nalan Rushua, and his eyes even flashed red. After a while, he licked his lips and said, "Good, good, this woman is too beautiful. After the sacrificial array, it would be best to save her life. No matter how beautiful she is, if she dies, I would lose a lot of interest in her." Nalan Rushua's face also turned pale. She finally understood why Tao Xing and the others wanted to team up with her. It turned out that they wanted to use her virgin blood as a sacrificial array. Only after the sacrificial array could they open the defensive array. "Senior, we will give this woman to Senior." Tao Xing spoke with a trembling voice. However, he only felt regret in his heart. He didn't expect that they weren't the only ones who knew about this place. "Get lost." The short winter melon slapped the void. Slap, Tao Xing slammed into the edge of the reef. The bones in his body started to melt, and he fell to the ground like a pool of mercury. His eyes filled with horror, and he struggled to gasp for breath. However, he didn't die for a while. Soft bone spirit technique, you are Senior Gu Hui. Yu Cheng also stuttered. From his trembling body, one could see the fear in his heart. Ning Cheng secretly found it funny. Soft bone spirit technique sounded scary, but what use was this spirit technique? Transforming bones soft palm? Why didn't this fellow become a eunuch? Slap. With another slap, Yu Cheng also turned into a pool of boneless flesh and collapsed beside Tao Xing. "You come here." The short wintermelon's gaze fell on Li Xian. Li Xian, who followed Yu Cheng, was even more frightened. When she saw the short wintermelon looking at her, She struggled to walk over and spoke, "Senior Gu, I can serve Senior." As she spoke, she quickly took off her clothes. In the face of death, shame and self-esteem were simply worthless. She had heard this short wintermelon say that he was interested in women, which made her feel a glimmer of hope. "A broken shoe dares to ask for my favor, get lost." This time, the short wintermelon did not start, but kicked Li Xian's body. Li Xian spat out a mouthful of blood as she hit the defensive array and died on the spot. "It's your turn." The short wintermelon's gaze fell on Ning Qing. Ning Qing did not go over, but looked at Tao Xing, who was still alive on the ground, and asked, "How did you know about this place?" Tao Xing didn't even bother to answer Ning Qing's words, as he was already dead. Ning Qing raised his hand and grasped at the void, and Tao Xing's ring fell into his hand. Soon he found a locational jade strip from Tao Xing's ring. The jade strip surprisingly pointed to this place and even introduced the location of the wood origin crystal. Seeing Ning Qing not even bothering to pay attention to him and even taking Tao Xing's ring, the short wintermelon's expression changed. But not waiting for him to speak, Ning Qing came over and spoke, "Shorty, show me your map. You're courting death." The short wintermelon had just spoken these 3 words when an overwhelming aura of a powerhouse descended. The short wintermelon's domain did not have any effect at all and directly melted away. The eternal-level powerhouse wearing the strange hat wanted to help, but Ning Cheng's powerful domain suppressed him and made him unable to move at all. The next moment, a majestic fist intent Dao charm blasted over. Bang! The naked killing intent slammed into the short wintermelon's dantian, and the short wintermelon directly flew up and fell beside Tao Xing and Yu Cheng. Just like Tao Xing, when the short wintermelon fell, he also turned into a pile of boneless flesh. A ring fell into Ning Cheng's hand, and the short wintermelon heard Ning Cheng's words, "What's the use of soft bones? I don't know what soft bones are, but I can still melt your bones with a single punch." Chapter 849. Tao Xing and Yu Cheng, on seeing Ning Cheng destroy the powerful Gu Hui with just a raise of his hand, felt completely sluggish. They wanted to bring such a powerhouse to this place as a sacrifice to the array. From this, they could imagine that even if they didn't meet these 2 eternal cultivators, they would have already died if they came to this place. Nalan Rushua knew that Ning Cheng's cultivation definitely surpassed hers, but she didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this powerful. Killing an eternal powerhouse with a single slap, it showed that Ning Cheng was also in the eternal realm. Senior. The middle-stage eternal male cultivator wearing a strange hat felt his teeth chattering. He didn't even blink when killing others, but he didn't want to die. Ning Cheng didn't have any thoughts of sparing this fellow and once again sent out an axe fist. Under Ning Cheng's suppressive domain, the axe intent directly tore apart the middle-stage eternal cultivator who wanted to live. Ning Cheng raised his hand and threw out a few fireballs. In just a few breaths, only he and Nalan Rushua remained in front of the defensive array. As for the rest of the cultivators, whether they died or not, Ning Cheng's fireballs turned them into nothingness. Senior apprentice Brother Ning. Nalan Rushua spoke with a surprised tone. Ning Cheng really didn't let her down. He truly was powerful. "I'm going to start breaking the array now, and I'll need your help later," Ning Cheng said to Nalan Rushua. Nalan Rushua nodded. "Okay, I'll definitely do my best to help." Ning Cheng pointed to the defensive array in front of him. "I'll first arrange an offensive array formation for this array formation. Then, I'll use the offensive array formation to blast open a small gap. Only then can I ask you to help me break the array. This defensive array is an attributed defensive array, and a fire-attributed defensive array at that. When I want to break the array, I'll need your essence blood." Nalan Rushua couldn't help but shudder. She immediately thought of the naked female cultivator from before, as well as the drops of blood that dripped into the array. She didn't know anything about array formations, but she knew that breaking the array with the help of essence blood was equivalent to sacrificing the array. Just like what Tao Xing and the others said before, and what she saw with her own eyes. They wanted her to strip naked, lie on the defensive array, and let the defensive array absorb her essence blood. Once she did this, she would never have a chance to come down from the defensive array. In other words, she would have to bleed her essence blood dry. She stared at Ning Cheng in disbelief. The Ning Cheng in front of her felt very strange. This was completely different from the Ning Cheng in her memory. In any case, she and Ning Cheng were once acquaintances, so why would he treat her like this? Ning Cheng did not seem to care about the changes in Nalan Rushue at all. After he finished speaking, he began to bring out array flags. One after another array flags were thrown out by Ning Cheng. Senior brother Ning, do I have to strip naked and use my essence blood for the array? Nalan Rushue couldn't help but ask. Ning Cheng didn't even look and spoke in A with a calm tone. Rushue of Cheng didn't. Cheng said, don't. I said, Cheng's Cheng I Cheng I said I of the Sheng. After I finish I will I will give you of cultivation resources. As he spoke, the array flags in his hands continued to fall down. Just take it that I owe you back then, and I'll pay you back today. Ning Cheng threw out the last array flag and spoke with joy in his eyes. Thank you, junior apprentice Sister Rushue. Come to this place and start taking off your clothes. I'll attack from the side and coordinate with your sacrificial array. After Ning Cheng finished, he also brought out the celestial rainbow purgatory spear and pointed it in a certain direction. Nalan Rushue walked to the place Ning Cheng pointed at with a blank expression and slowly took off her outer skirt. Just as Nalan Rushue took off the first piece of clothing, Ning Cheng suddenly dropped an array flag and took a step forward. The celestial rainbow purgatory spear in his hand also rolled up endless void spear intent and shot towards one side of the defensive array. Swish swish. The killing array around Ning Cheng surged with endless killing lights. These killing lights formed a murderous aura that followed Ning Cheng's celestial rainbow purgatory spear. It directly broke through the surrounding space and slammed into a nearby reef wall. Boom boom boom. Terrifying essence chi erupted, and it felt as if one void black hole after another had appeared around them. These void black holes contained endless killing intent. The killing intent from the black holes and the killing lights from Ning Cheng's killing array clashed together, and the killing intent filled the sky. The sluggish Nalan Rushue stared at the crazed Ning Cheng. She couldn't understand what Ning Cheng was doing. However, she knew that the place she was in was safe, and the killing array didn't pose a threat to her. Bang! With a muffled sound, Ning Cheng's entire body suddenly flew upside down. He opened his mouth and spat out an arrow of blood. What a cunning thing! You actually arranged a trap and kill array to divert this old man's attention. With this voice, a black-skinned man suddenly appeared in the middle of Ning Cheng's trap and kill array. The blade lights and flames from the trap and kill array fell on his body, but they didn't seem to hurt him at all. However, Ning Cheng's celestial rainbow purgatory spear nailed the man's throat, and black blood slowly slid down the spear's handle. Die for me. The man raised his hand and grabbed at Ning Cheng. As the man grabbed, the space in front of Ning Cheng seemed to have disappeared. Ning Cheng forcibly grabbed Nalan Rushue and retreated. Ning Cheng quickly discovered that no matter how far he retreated, he couldn't move forward. The space around him had solidified. Rip! With a tearing sound, Ning Cheng's upper robes tore off, and 5 deep bloody wounds appeared on his chest. An oppressive force slammed into Ning Cheng's chest, and Ning Cheng couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. While feeling horrified, he frantically condensed a time wheel and blasted it out. It turned out to be a powerful body-forging cultivator. Moreover, he also knew a spirit technique related to the laws of time. Bang bang bang. The time wheel slammed into the naked man's body and splashed out a bloody mist. However, this naked man's vitality didn't seem to weaken at all. With another bang, Ning Cheng's surroundings lightened, and he could finally retreat. At the same time, he slammed into the opposite reef. After smashing the reef into pieces, his body also came to a stop. Ning Cheng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and put down Nalan Rushue. At the same time, he also saw the dark-skinned man opposite him. This man was locked in an array formation within the stone wall by 2 chains, which meant that he couldn't rush up to deal with Ning Cheng. The bloody wounds caused by the time wheel and the celestial rainbow purgatory spear stuck in his throat looked terrifying. But Ning Cheng knew that this person's strength still exceeded his own. Senior apprentice Brother Ning. Nalan Rushue finally understood that Ning Cheng had long known about this powerhouse. He had asked her to use the sacrificial array to buy time to arrange the killing array. She suddenly felt a little ashamed. She had doubted Ning Cheng once again. Put on your clothes. This person is very strong. Ning Cheng's gaze remained fixed on the naked man. Even if this person was locked by the array formation chains, he would have to use the 5-colored star splitter arrow to kill him. If he hadn't used his spear to kill this fellow first, he would have died in this fellow's hands in a single exchange. The naked man raised his hand and pulled out the celestial rainbow purgatory spear. But as soon as he exerted some force, the celestial rainbow purgatory spear, which hadn't accompanied Ning Cheng for long, broke in half. You're very treacherous, but it's not easy to survive from my hands. Tell me, how did you find me? I'm sure that even if a Dao sculpting powerhouse came here, they wouldn't be able to find me. The naked man stared at Ning Cheng and asked in a cold voice. He didn't even try to stop the bleeding from his throat. This question really puzzled him. Ning Cheng was just an eternal cultivator. How could he find his hiding place? You should also answer my question. Who locked your chains? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness locked onto the 5-colored star splitter arrow and asked in a calm tone. He also felt worried. If there was a cultivator stronger than this fellow spying on him, even if he killed this fellow, someone else would kill him. The naked man seemed to know what Ning Cheng was worried about and spoke up with disdain. Who else can chain me apart from myself? Even if I'm locked by myself, it would be easy to kill an ant like you. Since there's a sacrificial array woman here, even if you don't answer my question, I can still search your soul. After the naked man finished speaking, the chains on his body fell off automatically. At the same time, the surrounding space trembled again. Ning Cheng didn't even think about it and directly brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow. A majestic killing intent suddenly burst out. Even the killing power condensed around the naked man's body was swept away by a black arrow that appeared out of thin air. The surrounding space turned desolate, and a grayish death aura filled the air. This death aura grew thicker and thicker before finally condensing into a single point. The entire space seemed to have disappeared at this moment, leaving behind only a single arrow, a pitch-black arrow. As the killing intent grew thicker and the death aura grew thicker, the 5-colored bow beneath the pitch-black arrow finally became clear. Ning Cheng's face turned pale and his body trembled. But his eyes remained calm. Even if he advanced to the middle stage eternal realm, the 5-colored star splitter arrow's suction power still reached a terrifying level. 5-colored star splitter. The naked man's eyes showed a hint of despair. If Ning Cheng hadn't plotted against him, he might have been able to escape in time before the 5-colored star splitter arrow's aura swept over him. But now, he could only wait for the arrow to reach him, locked in place by this violent and majestic killing intent. Never before had he felt more despair than now. He had attracted many female cultivators with water-type spiritual roots, but he never expected to attract a cultivator with a 5-colored star splitter arrow today. If he knew this would happen, he would have rather spent thousands of years than take this risk. Space compressed, and his essence blood burned. The 5-colored star splitter arrow's killing intent continued to condense. Apart from despair, the naked man's eyes only showed silence. It wasn't that he didn't want to beg for mercy, but he knew that the 5-colored star splitter arrow had reached such a level that even the cultivator who brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow couldn't control it. Even Nalan Rushue, who hid behind Ning Cheng, felt frightened. The grayish death aura made her feel fear. She watched as Ning Cheng's hair gradually turned gray, but she couldn't do anything about it. Swish! The black arrow finally cut through space and shot out with an endless grayish death aura. The naked man closed his eyes, and the terrifying death aura finally ended. Chapter 850. Bang! With a dull explosion, the five-colored star splitter arrow tore the naked man apart. At the same time, Ning Cheng's array formation strangled his essence spirit. The moment the five-colored star splitter arrow disappeared from Ning Cheng's wrist, Ning Cheng grabbed a ring. But before Ning Cheng could crack the restrictions on the naked man's ring, the restrictions on the ring started to shatter. Ning Cheng, with his fastest speed, threw the contents of the ring into his own ring. However, just as he was about to transfer the contents of the ring directly collapsed. Ning Cheng breathed out a sigh of relief. Compared to the first time he killed Honglun, this situation was much better. Nalan Rushue reacted at this moment and quickly stepped forward to support Ning Cheng, who was staggering. "Senior apprentice brother Ning, are you okay?" Ning Cheng waved his hand and said weakly, "This is not a place to stay for a long time. Hurry up and enter the array." Nalan Rushue found that the defensive array, which required a sacrificial array to break before, had already cracked under Ning Cheng's arrow. A rich wood origin aura spread out, and Nalan Rushue quickly helped Ning Cheng into the defensive array. Ning Cheng threw out some array flags and sealed the aura outside the defensive array. At the same time, he also temporarily concealed this place. "What a rich wood origin aura!" Nalan Rushue exclaimed. Unfortunately, she didn't have a wood-attributed spiritual root. If she had a wood-attributed spiritual root, cultivating in this place would produce at least dozens of times better results compared to the outside. Ning Cheng also felt shocked by the wood origin aura in front of him. To be precise, this place was a reef beach. These reefs had wood origin crystals inlaid on them, some big and some small. These reefs couldn't produce wood origin crystals. The only possibility was that the origin crystals here had evolved over countless years. The underworld crow ghost Rattan King bounced on Ning Cheng's wrist. Ning Cheng shook his hand and said, "Go devour these wood origin crystals. Remember to collect all of them for me." After saying that, Ning Cheng called out Chasing Bull again, "You also go collect the wood origin crystals. I need to heal." Seeing a thick rattan stretching out endlessly, this rattan wrapped around the surrounding reefs and quickly absorbed the wood origin crystals inside. Nalan Rushue immediately understood that this rattan was Ning Cheng's pet. Moreover, she also knew about this rattan. It seemed to be an underworld crow ghost rattan. As for Chasing Bull, she didn't care about it. The value of an underworld crow ghost rattan definitely surpassed that of an ordinary demonic bull. Ning Cheng put his hand down from Nalan Rushue's body. "Junior apprentice Sister Rushue, you should also go collect the wood origin crystals. I want to heal myself." This place was filled with the aura of the wood origin. It was the most suitable place to recuperate. Feeling that Ning Cheng had consumed too much energy, Nalan Rushue didn't refuse. She helped Ning Cheng to a place rich in wood origin crystals and started digging for wood origin crystals on the reef beach. A month later, Ning Cheng stood up with a long sigh of relief. His injuries were completely healed. Although his hair was still gray, it would gradually recover as he continued to cultivate. Regarding this matter, Ning Cheng naturally would not continue to use the glimmer of Dawn Ice essence. "Master, the wood origin crystals are all here." As soon as Ning Cheng stood up, Chasing Bull came to Ning Cheng and handed him a ring. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through it and found thousands of wood origin crystals inside. Without waiting for Ning Cheng to ask, Chasing Bull quickly said, "The little wooden rattan and that little girl's wood origin crystals are also here." The little wooden rattan went out to surmount the tribulation. That little girl said that she wanted to help protect it, but I guess she went out to watch the fun. "I'm loyal to Master and don't dare to take a step away." Ning Cheng had already discovered that the underworld crow ghost Rattan and Nalan Rushue weren't here. Moreover, the wood origin crystals inside had almost been consumed, and only a few stars remained. Ning Cheng ignored the underworld crow ghost Rattan. But with a burst of thunder coming from outside, Ning Cheng understood that the underworld crow ghost Rattan had indeed gone out to surmount the tribulation. But he didn't go out immediately. Instead, he sorted out all the rings. Excluding some low-grade and middle-grade spirit crystals, there were more than 10 million high-grade spirit crystals. These high-grade spirit crystals mainly came from the dark-skinned naked male cultivator. When Ning Cheng came out of the reef gap with Chasing Bull, the underworld crow ghost Rattan King had already finished surmounting the tribulation and successfully advanced to a starry sky grade 8 demonic Rattan. As long as the underworld crow ghost Rattan King had enough wood origin crystals to devour, it would only be a matter of time before it advanced to a grade 9 demonic Rattan. Senior apprentice brother Ning, have you recovered from your injuries? Nalan Rushue saw Ning Cheng coming out and walked over with a hint of excitement. She naturally understood the value of wood origin crystals, and she had obtained hundreds of wood origin crystals below. Although she gave most of them to Chasing Bull, she still had about 40 to 50 of them. Ning Cheng took out a ring and handed it to Nalan Rushue. There are some wood origin crystals in here. You can keep some. Nalan Rushue quickly declined. Senior apprentice brother Ning, I still have dozens of them on me. I don't have much use for them. Ning Cheng, on hearing Nalan Rushue leave behind some wood origin crystals, didn't continue to be polite. Wood origin crystals were very important to him. Not only did he need them for alchemy, but he also needed them for the advancement of the underworld crow ghost Rattan King. After taking out the wood origin crystals from the ring, he handed the ring to Nalan Rushue and said, "There are 3 million spirit crystals in here, along with some weapons and medicinal pills. I've kept a lot for myself. You can have them." Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Nalan Rushue didn't continue to refuse and put away the ring. After advancing, the underworld crow ghost Rattan King turned into a black light and disappeared from Ning Cheng's wrist. The underworld crow ghost Rattan King had just advanced and needed to consolidate its cultivation. Seeing Ning Cheng bring out a flight-type weapon, Chasing Bull pitifully called out, "Master, let me help you drive the weapon." Ning Cheng knew that this fellow didn't want to stay in the true spirit world at all. Therefore, he gave the airship to Chasing Bull to control. Senior apprentice brother Ning, did you see that person hiding from the beginning? After the airship took off, Nalan Rushue finally couldn't help but ask. Ning Cheng shook his head, "No, but I saw that the map jade strip Tao Xing obtained was the same as the map jade strip Gu Hui obtained. I guess that someone had deliberately set it up. The person who set it up definitely didn't want to find a cultivator like Tao Xing, but a virgin female cultivator with a water-attributed spiritual root. Since this person released the map and deliberately looked for female cultivators to use as sacrificial arrays, he would have to pay attention to the fire-attributed defensive array at all times. Moreover, staying here would make it harder to be discovered than using one's spiritual consciousness. Moreover, it would also make it easier for one to control temporary situations. Moreover, I used my spiritual consciousness to look around but didn't find anything suspicious. I knew that if someone stayed in there, that person's cultivation would definitely be much higher than mine. If I wanted to make a move, I would have to take him by surprise. I asked you to use the sacrificial array to focus that fellow's attention on you and also to help arrange a trap and kill array. I'm sorry." "No, senior apprentice brother Ning, I'm sorry. I thought you really wanted to use me as a sacrificial array, which made me feel very disappointed. But, senior apprentice brother Ning, how did you know where that person was hiding?" Nalan Rushue felt very excited at this moment. She felt that after this incident, the misunderstanding between her and Ning Cheng had dissipated a lot. Ning Cheng sighed, "I don't know. It was just a bet. I was thinking about where I would hide if it were me. This position not only has the best visual effect but also allows me to control everything at any time. I chose a position, and I guess that if someone was hiding here, they would have chosen the same place as me. It's just that I didn't expect that fellow to be so powerful. If I didn't have a trump card, he would have killed me." When Nalan Rushue heard this, she felt a little scared. In case Ning Cheng made a mistake, she wouldn't be able to escape the sacrificial array. Thinking of this, Nalan Rushue suddenly felt a little stunned. Ning Cheng wanted to use her as a sacrificial array. At that time, she only felt a sense of loss and sadness, but not fear. But thinking that the fellow Ning Cheng killed wanted to use her as a sacrificial array, she felt a little scared. Ning Cheng didn't say anything more. The only thing he wondered about was why that naked male cultivator wanted to lock himself up. Was it to cultivate a cultivation method or for some other reason? After the airship returned to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue didn't even go to the cave. Instead, they paid 20,000 spirit crystals on the public square and waited for the airship to head to the teleportation array group. As for Chasing Bull, Ning Cheng sent it into the true spirit world again. According to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City's airship and the teleportation array's rules, as long as one didn't release their companion beasts, they wouldn't receive any spirit crystals. However, people couldn't be sent into a special space. Once found out, not only would they lose their cultivation, but they would also be expelled. Moreover, all their belongings would also be confiscated. In fact, if a cultivator's cultivation was abolished, it was equivalent to losing their life. It didn't matter whether they collected their belongings or not. Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue had just sat down when two people came over. The one in front was a middle-aged male cultivator, and the one behind was a tall young man with a graceful bearing. However, the young man in the back had a higher cultivation than the middle-aged male cultivator in front of him. He was already at the late-stage eternal realm. Seeing the middle-aged male cultivator walking in front, Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He knew why this person came looking for him. The middle-aged male cultivator in front was the shopkeeper of the Essence Sea restaurant. Ning Cheng had sold him a pot of none-to-depend-on wine in the Essence Sea restaurant, and now this person had come looking for him. "So friend, we meet again." The middle-aged shopkeeper cupped his hands towards Ning Cheng and spoke with enthusiasm. "Brother Hong, is this your friend?" The young man walking behind the middle-aged shopkeeper asked with a smile. The middle-aged shopkeeper quickly replied, "Yes, young Master Min. This is the friend who sold it to me." The young man nodded. "Many thanks, Brother Hong." The middle-aged shopkeeper took the opportunity and said, "Young Master Min, I still have something to do in the restaurant, so I'll be taking my leave first." After that, he nodded to Ning Cheng before turning around and leaving quickly. The young man gave Ning Cheng a polite greeting and spoke up in a graceful manner. "My name is Chi Zimin, and I'm from the Grand Essence Domain." Ning Cheng, rogue cultivator. If Brother Chi came looking for me to ask about the wine, then I'm afraid that I would have to disappoint Brother Chi. It was a gift from a friend of mine, and I only have one pot of it. Ning Cheng immediately blocked Chi Zimin's words. "It's not entirely about the wine. I'm also going to the Grand Essence Ruins, and Brother Ning will be going the same way." After Chi Zimin finished, he took the initiative to pay 10,000 spirit crystals and bought a jade talisman for an airship. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.